Howdy! Howdy! Please find your seats. I now call this meeting to order at 7:11 p.m. on December 4th, 2019. We'll begin with opening roll call.
Howdy. 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 Master P. Gillette. Here. Chief Justice Chopra. Speaker Mendoza.
Howdy.
Chair Berger.
Howdy.
Chair Harris.
Howdy.
Chair Arvioso. Chair J.R. Rodriguez. Chair C. Rodriguez.
Howdy.
Chair Banks.
Howdy.
Chair McGill. Chair Spur. Chair Gupta. Senator Ahmed.
Howdy.
Senator Aiken.
Howdy.
Senator Ali. Senator Chada. Senator Anderson. Senator Cabrera. Senator Damian. Howdy. Senator Dang. Howdy. Senator Great. Senator DiMateros. Senator Dow. Senator Feldman. Howdy. Senator Flores. Senator Frank.
Howdy.
Senator Julio Garcia. Senator William Garcia. Senator Gay. Senator Graham. Senator Hardison.
Howdy.
Senator Hutto. Senator Jeffries. Howdy. Senator Clayman. Senator Korkmaz. Senator Crowe. Senator Luttrell.
Howdy.
Senator Mandel.
Howdy.
Senator Rufo.
Howdy.
Senator Martin.
Howdy.
Senator McHugh.
Howdy.
Senator McQueen.
Howdy.
Senator Montez.
Howdy.
Senator Morgan.
Howdy.
Senator Murphy.
Howdy.
Senator Newman.
Howdy.
Senator Odola.
Howdy.
Senator Pauls.
Howdy.
Senator Peda. Senator Pena. Senator Price. Senator Ramirez.
Howdy.
Senator Resendez.
Howdy.
Senator Rivera.
Howdy.
Senator Rowan.
Howdy.
Senator Smith. Hayden Smith.
Howdy.
Senator Gunnar Smith.
Howdy.
Senator Tran.
Howdy.
Senator Crossclair.
Howdy.
Senator Tomlinson.
Howdy.
Senator Ulick.
Howdy.
Senator Walther. Senator Wood.
Howdy.
Senator Hine.
Howdy.
Senator Nassus.
Howdy.
Senator Oldag. Senator Ramon.
Howdy.
And now for the senators who asked out as of last session. Dominic Enshada, Lowry May School of Business. Bill Graham, off-campus residencies. Emily Flores, College of Engineering. Matthew Walther, Lowry May School of Business. Nicholas DiMateros, off-campus. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move into a period of invocation and pledges of allegiance led by Gregory Cross. If you'd all please rise. Please bow your heads.
Father God, bless all schools, colleges, and universities, especially our own Texas A&M. That we may be lively centers for sound learning, the discovery, and the pursuit of wisdom, and the grant to those who teach, and that those who learn may find you to be the source of all truth. Heavenly Father, please bless us as we go throughout tonight. Bless us as we try to keep our sense of honor and composure and represent Texas A&M in all things we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Am I leading the pledges too? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the reading of the mission statement and the honor code, led by our longest-serving senator, Senator Lindsey Wood.
Howdy. The Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. And Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do.
into a period of the singing of the Spirit of Aguilar.
Something close about of the school that thinks so grand, but there's a spirit in heaven's home. It's the spirit of Aggie land. We are the Aggies, the Aggies are we. True to each other as Aggies. We've got to fight, boys. We've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. I think we've stood all the rest. They will come and join the rest. But we are the Aggies. The Aggies are we. We're from Texas A&C.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'll now move into a special presentation from Dr. Ritchie, our Provost and Executive Vice President. Dr. Ritchie will be. Go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
Howdy.
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 I hope you're having a great end of the semester and you had a great semester. So I'm just going to give a little update on the Student Success Initiative and then a couple of other things, and then I have some questions for you, and then I'm available to answer any questions. So our Student Success Initiative has goals for increasing retention and graduation rates, and we actually made progress this year. Our goal for retention, first year retention, is 95%. We increased from 92.1% to 93.2%. Our goals for four-year graduation rates are 65%. We increased from 56% to 59%. And our six-year graduation rate held steady. Another one of our main goals is to lower disparities, and we actually saw significantly larger increases in retention and graduation rates of our first-generation students and many of our underrepresented minority students. So those are our major goals, and we are moving forward with them. So I thought I'd just touch a little bit about some of the programming that we're rolling out. How many of you guys know anything about Hullabaloo U? Yes? Were any of you in a Hullabaloo U program? No first-year students? Anyway, so next year, we are rolling out 420 first-year, first-time in college seminars, so that every first-time in college student has a cohort of 25 students. It's a 0 credit. It will have 25 students, one senior mentor, and one peer mentor. And it will be for cohort building. There will be a little bit of curriculum, but it's really try to make this campus seem smaller and to have everybody have a group that they're part of as they're getting used to the university. Another thing that we are actually going to start to roll out next semester is a math learning center. So when we looked at where students have trouble, math, and particularly calculus, is one of the areas that students have had trouble. So the Math Learning Center is going to be there to provide tutoring, to provide help for a variety of different classes, so that that is a way to specifically increase the success. We also are starting a first generation center. We actually just got a gift, a philanthropy gift, to endow a first generation center, again, to provide support and help to our first generation students who know the least about what college is all about. We are also started this year at what we're calling 80s Thrive. So after the first semester, we kicked out a lot of students who didn't have a good first semester. And that seemed to me not very fair. It's hard, sometimes there are adjustments. And so the Aggie Pod is giving those students a second chance, so that instead of kicking them out, we say you can join this program, and these are the things we want to do to help you. Last year, it was a small cohort, and it was the cohort that had the most difficulty, and about half of the students agreed to try to do the program, and about a third of the students did actually succeeded in the program. One student went from having like a 0.5 to above a 3.0. And most of the issues that the students were having were not actually academic. They were adjustments, they were health, they were mental health, they were homelessness, they were lack of food. So we feel that we're expanding that program next year so that we can really help students who have a trouble with the first semester really figure this out. We are also rolling out a new change of curriculum process. So that's what you do if you change your major. We are going to have a common date for everybody about when you do change a curriculum, and we're going to have it set up through Howdy, so that all of the information will be there about what you need to do, and it should make it much easier to be able to change majors. We're also developing a graduation help desk, which will be a help desk that if you're having any trouble getting courses or there's something that's stopping you from moving forward towards graduation, they will be there. It'll be a one-stop help. And that's where we plan to add a place for the faculty accountability, which I've heard you've been asking for. In the meantime, for faculty accountability, they suggested using the tellsomebody.tomly.edu, and if you want to do something anonymous, if there's some issue. That's not really what Tell Somebody is set up for, but it'll work. And then for future, we're talking about developing academic pathways, which is instead of having specific majors, having to identify a specific major, you can identify a group of majors. So more like what engineering and business do. We're going to try to roll that out across the university. And then the last thing, I know you passed a resolution about a fall break. I personally am in favor of a fall break. We are looking at calendars and trying to identify what the negative consequences of a fall break might be, but we're actively working on seeing how we can do it. Questions?
And we'll now move into a period of question and answers, starting with Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, second first. First off, thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight. So I guess my question is about the new LMS. Do you have any updates on how we're moving away from eCampus to this mysterious as yet unannounced?
Yeah, we are 99% of the way to getting Canvas on campus. Today, the company that owns Canvas was bought by another company. So that before we signed on the paper, we wanted to get a little bit more information. So I think that it's very likely to be Canvas, and we are very close to getting that ready. And we are hoping to roll it out next fall, at least a pilot in the fall, and then add more and more.
Sarah, Matt.
Hi, Senator Ahmed. Thank you first thing for coming out. I really like all the things that you're saying about the upcoming projects that the school is working on. I think a lot of them are really important. And so my question is a little bit about the academic pathways. So you said you guys are thinking about rolling that out. So do you know any idea of what the clusters might be?
So with the way that we're identifying the clusters are looking at the first year coursework and then identifying which majors have similar first year coursework. That one's gonna be a couple of years probably. We have to get the faculty ready for that idea. And students can pick both will be able to pick a major if they want to, or they could just pick a pathway. And I think that it will also be helpful for students who decide they want to change majors, because it will tell you which major can you easily change to without losing many credits.
Pro Tem Paul.
Speaker Pro Tem Portable, there was a recent statistic that came out that said that 97% of freshmen who attend fish camp ended up staying and will retain at Texas A&M. Have you seen that statistic? And if so, do you plan on pushing any resources towards encouraging more freshmen to attend fish camp?
We have, fish camp is not the right for everyone, so we have a couple of other transition programs, and there's currently working on what are the statistics for first year retention in those other programs. Certainly, Student Affairs has worked really hard to get scholarships so students can go to fish camp, and we will continue trying to encourage as many students to go either to fish camp or one of the other programs. We're certainly on board with that.
Senator Rivera.
Senator Rivera, off campus. You mentioned a first generation center. Can you talk more about what that would entail and what resources and services it would provide?
Right, I mean, we are still, so we just got the gift, and I think we're still trying to work on exactly what resources would be most helpful for first generation students, but particularly probably definitely more advising and perhaps some messaging for parents of first generation students. I think that those are two things that we definitely identified. And yeah, so we're still looking. Do you have suggestions?
I mean, that could be a conversation. I mean, really just making those resources more readily available, and I guess being in one central location.
Yeah, there will be. I don't know exactly where it's going to end up, but I don't know if it's going to be near the rest of the student success. So we're developing it, but it probably not this year, but starting next year. Yes.
Senator Trustclair.
Thank you. Senator Trostner on campus. My question is actually about the math center that you spoke about. Someone that's recently had difficulties in math class. I think I can speak for a lot of folks. It's very difficult. What are some of the things that center going to have, and what ways does it help students?
Yeah, we actually are going to roll it out next semester for Calculus 150. It will have tutors available. It will have people at definite hours where you can just come in and get help. We're envisioning this may not happen next semester, that it will be a center that then can provide work with the math department. And it's not just math, there's going to be physics, actually business, their finance, they have a math class that the students have some difficulty with. Providing feedback about where are the students having trouble, and thinking about how we can provide better instruction for students to be more successful. We are also going to look at how to make sure students end up in the right class, and finding pathways that if a student starts in a math class and it's clearly not the right one, that we can actually during that semester move them into a different math class. So we're really thinking a lot about how to increase the success of students in math.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, college engineering. Do you feel like the attrition rate can be directly related to the acceptance rate? I know there's kind of a varying acceptance rate for the past couple of years. An acceptance rate for freshmen, or I guess incoming students. Do you feel like that's related at all, or not?
I think I haven't seen any correlation. So I don't know that we've actually looked at that directly. Certainly the GPA and the test scores have been going up readily. And so it's possible that in fact this increased student success that we've been seeing over the last 4 or 5 years may very well be related to our students coming in better prepared.
Senator Morgan.
Senator Morgan, positive education. So I heard that earlier this semester, A&M hired the director of, or someone to supervise online classes. And as a student who's not necessarily a fan of how A&M handles online only classes, what can you tell us about what the university's doing to kind of improve that experience?
So in the provost office, we did hire someone to think about, we're calling it academic innovation, to think about our strategy for online classes, both for students on campus, but also for students off campus. She has been sidetracked. She ended up, the LMS decision ended up in her lap. So she has not made as much progress, but she is leading a group for us to really think about what is our strategy for online, how best to use it for both our on-campus and off-campus. So it is a priority goal, but we're not moving there as fast as any of us would like to.
Thank you. Do you have any more questions for Provost Group?
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
So we are interested in some programs, how they work. So what do you think about Howdy? What do you think about Degree Planner? What do you think about Navigate?
For this, if you would still raise your placard, I'll recognize you to answer these specific questions. Yes, Senator Feldman.
Senator Feldman, Off-Campus Caucus. I'd say regarding Degree Planner specifically, I feel like there's a lot of confusion when it comes to it. There's a lot of technical glitches that people encounter, and especially when you send something to your advisors firsthand, and then what ends up happening is there's a glitch or something involved that you didn't notice. There's no way for you to alter it, and it causes a lot of problems, and especially coming up on registration, causes a lot of holds on people's accounts.
Thank you.
Senator Matt.
Sarah Ahmed on campus caucus. I was thinking more about, because you said Howdy, like more about the registration class switch process, because I know like it changed from like last time we registered for courses. And like even though it looks more attractive, like more aesthetically pleasing, it's a lot more confusing to use in comparison to like the old program, like the old setup. And like I made registering for classes so hard for me and all my friends, like we know what we're doing. So maybe I guess kind of find a way to like streamline it and make it similar to the way it was, but maybe like still looks nice.
Okay. Can you give me a sense of what changed?
I think initially before you could just like type in your class, type in what you want, and you just see them all there. I think maybe because like everything's so expanded, and then also like it was like your search, but then you're also on your schedule on the side, like it would be showing 3 things at once. And it's like I just want to see what courses are available. So it was like I just want to see one thing and what. But yeah.
Chair Banks.
Sure, thanks, I can compare. So I think one model that would be helpful to look at is Aggie Scheduler. It's actually a student in the computer science department who wrote this up several years ago. It's kind of the go-to with a lot of students I know when they're trying to plan their upcoming schedules for the next semester. When I, myself and my executive counterparts of those talked to Tim Scott, apparently he hadn't seen Aggie Scheduler before, so we showed it to him, and he was obviously very interested in how it works. I think it's a very successful model.
Senator Morgan.
Senator Morgan, positive education. I would say that I think Navigate is a great idea, and I like that we now have a centralized system for advising appointments. But I just think it's slow sometimes. That makes it hard and frustrating to use. So that it can be made more responsive. That would be.
With 5 minutes remaining, do you have any more questions or comments for Provost Group?
I have another question.
Go ahead.
So what, we want to know how to better communicate with you. So of course, us old people use email, and we found that students frequently don't use email, and so the question is, would you never use email, or would you use email if we really limited bulk mail, so that you actually just got really, more important? So that's a yes, that you'd more likely use email if we had it there, didn't have the bulk mail there, okay? So I'm open to other suggestions. You wanna know how to better communicate with students.
Senator Martin.
Senator Martin, off campus. So currently, whenever you start at A&M, I know you're kind of opted in to the like big student organization bulk mail list, which is good, I think, for some students to get really involved, but then it also ends up sending you like 90 emails a day. So perhaps a conversation to have would be opt students out at the beginning, and they can opt in if they want. That might be a better solution to try to limit inbox illness, and maybe setting a limit on how many emails can be sent through that big bulk mail thing per day could be another thing. But I know we have like 1,000 student organizations, that would be super difficult, but those are just some ideas.
Great, thank you.
Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, I can move there. So one thing I found to be really effective is announcements for my classes on the LMS right now on campus. Those are ones that, whenever there's a new one, if there was like some sort of university-wide kind of announcement page on the LMS, I feel like those messages would be a lot more appropriate than just there than, just the.
Okay, that's helpful.
Professor Fook, did you have any additional questions?
Nope, that was it. Thank you very much, and, I am always available. You can send me emails. I'm on bulk mail, so I'm used to getting lots of emails a day. I don't always completely keep up with them, but I try. And from the provost's office, we are really committed to working with you to see everything we can do to help students be more successful. Thank you very much for all of your work on behalf of the students, on behalf of the university. Thank you.
We certainly thank the provost for coming and spending time with us. With that, we'll move into a period of open forum. President Holmes, do it in mind. We'll begin by recognizing Zach McHugh on behalf of the Core Values Ad Hoc Committee. If you would please come down to the floor with your committee members.
Well, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So as you guys know, we have elected to present this month's Core Values Award to two individuals. And so to introduce them, I want to read a bio of both of them, kind of why we're giving them this award, just so we get the sense for how special this is. So to start off, the first individual we're giving this award to is Dr. Andrew Klein. Dr. Klein is professor of geosciences here at Texas A&M. He leads the students well, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. He does this by teaching well and by modeling effective research, but he goes above and beyond that. Dr. Klein is the speaker of the Faculty Senate, and he consistently goes above and beyond to lead the students, as well as especially the TAMU Student Senate. And so because of his work in leading the student body, we wanted to recognize him for this month for leadership, because he worked so hard to build future Aggie leaders. We're also presenting this award to Cadet James Saran of the class of 1958. Cadet Saran exemplified leadership by making the greatest sacrifice possible for his fish. While guarding the staff, James unhesitantly pushed his fish and another Aggie out of harm's way from a speeding car. Unfortunately, he gave his life in this selfless act, but his example will always ring as a shining example of leadership in the Aggie spirit. Receiving this award on his behalf is the current Corps Commander, Luke Thomas. So for these reasons and more, it is our distinct pleasure to present the Core Values Exemplification Award of Leadership Dr. Andrew Klein and Cadet James Smith.
Got it.
Thank you. Alright, so a couple of other things for you guys. I know January is coming up in about a month or so. We have not elected our nominees for January yet. We're going to meet as a committee before our next meeting when the new semester begins. And at that point, that's when we'll go ahead and select our nominees for the month of January. So I don't have anything else to tell you guys today. That's it.
Do you have any questions for our presenter? Seeing none, thank you. And with that, we'll now recognize Jacob Schaefer on behalf of the Election Commission. If you want to please come down to the floor.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So I'm just gonna be real quick, real brief, just get this on your radar. If you have a calendar, Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, get that open. Just some dates for the elections. This is a QR code. It's a link to a Google Calendar. It'll automatically sync up some of the important dates. It's not gonna have all of them. Is mandatory filing opening, filing closing, mandatory candidates meeting, kind of general voting times. So it'll be some of the main ones. All the specific ones are on our website. But yeah, we do have a date locked in for the mandatory candidates meeting, February 16th, Rudder 6:01. The time for that, we think we're gonna start at 7. I'll post on the website once we know exactly. We'll talk to you about reserving it. But yeah, just so you know, this process starts early February. So if you are thinking about it or if you have any questions, email me. It's tmuelection@gmail.com. It's all over our website. It's way on there way too much. But yeah, that's all I have.
So, do you have any questions for our Election Commission? Seeing none, thank you. Okay. And we'll now move into a period with Pranali Parvati on behalf of Deeds at Tamu. If you please come down to the floor.
Captain Ollie.
Do you guys have a presentation as well?
No.
Whenever you're ready.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Good evening, Senators. My name is Pranali, and I'm the president of Deeds at Texas A&M University, which is a new-ish on-campus advocacy organization. My Deeds team and I are here today to urge Senate's action for a project that is very close to our hearts, the Sustainable Menstrual Hygiene Pilot Program. Last year, Deeds worked closely with former Chair Ashali Chimata to increase awareness about this project that she was working so hard for. For those who didn't know, the pilot program's goal was to provide free and biodegradable menstrual products in 10 high-traffic locations on campus. The sentiment behind this was to empower those who menstruate to stay on campus for as long as they need, and to empower them to participate more fully in social, cultural, civic leadership, and academic life at Texas A&M, regardless of their period. Former Chairwoman Chimata had made phenomenal progress in laying down the groundwork. She had sought approval from Custodial Services Regional Manager Mr. Ted Dawson, who in turn acquired written permission from the buildings where the menstrual products would be dispensed. Chairwoman Chimata also negotiated a contract with AntFlow, which is the menstrual product vendor. Side note, the menstrual products are organic, fully biodegradable, so this is a great sustainability initiative as well. She also applied for the Aggie Green Fund grant worth $3,500 to execute the first phase. That is when Deeds partnered with her to increase awareness of this success by doing a letter writing campaign for which we received over 600 signatures in only a few weeks. Upon her graduation, the Senate only needed to use the funds to place an order with AntFlow with a preloaded debit card and let Custodial Services know that they could install the dispensers.
To sustain this project, the Senate also had to use the custodial services graphics department to make signage, reach out to student life studies with a survey request to track metrics, and work with Aggie Green Fund to support college reports. These recognized this recent inaction on this project and reached out to all the stakeholders. Fortunately, Ant Flow is still excited to work with us after they had to cancel a drawn-up invoice. Mr. Dawson of Custodial Services is still willing to help us. In fact, he personally went to a conference and met our Ant Flow liaison to check out the dispensers himself. And most importantly, Aggie Green Fund grant, which is $3,500 again of the student fees, is still available for this even after multiple extensions. We at Deeds want to make sure that Aggies receive these menstrual products that they were promised, and that the hard-earned grant money does not go to waste. Furthermore, this would only be the first phase of this project. We envision that every bathroom on campus have a menstrual product dispenser. So it is imperative that we move forward with phase one so we can work to sustain it and then get universities' approval on how to expand it. Finally, we realize that each year the priorities of leadership are different, but the cause was trusted for this project. The cause was trusted with thousands of dollars and enormous student support, and we must not neglect that. To make it easier, Deeds is offering full support to Senate on this project from tasks that range from increasing awareness, doing more letter writing campaigns, etc., and to advocating to President Young. We will be there with you. However, there should be no reason why Aggies couldn't receive free menstrual products on campus by January 2020 if the grant funds were accessed immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start question and answers with recognizing Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, Academic Affairs. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I actually worked very closely with Chair Shimada on this session. So I think it's a great program. I think it's one of the best things to come out of Senate while I've been here. So what exactly do you think we could do that would have the best chance of seeing this action?
Absolutely. So I have been in communication with former Chairwoman Shimada, and she told me that what needed to be done was to get all the whatever dispensers were budgeted to get all of them, install them, and then have a survey on them so people could take a survey and say if they liked it, what improvements would they want, and track how much the usage was so we can actually go with this issue and advocate to the university to adopt this so we wouldn't have to find microgrants every time, it's just to keep it going.
Go ahead.
So what steps do you think we can take to make sure these dispensers actually get installed in the first place?
So the first thing would be to access those funds that were allocated by the Aggie Green Fund. And I'm sure that former Chairwoman Shimada's committee would be able to handle that. But that would be the first step, and then asking custodial services, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Tish, who are in charge of just putting these dispensers up. So that would be the first step, and the second step would be to sustain it. So ask for help from student life studies and make signage and put it all over campus and increase awareness.
Permission to follow.
Put you at the end. Sarah.
Sarah Ahmed on Campus Caucus. So this Shimada, Ashi was really working hard on this last year. So I think a lot of us thought the ball had already been rolling because she didn't seem like a lot had been done. So what do you think went wrong as to why this hasn't started? Because I saw them on campus, I saw passing some of the bathrooms. I was like, oh, this is what she was working on. But then it was from a different woman's board, and it wasn't through the Aggie Green Fund. So I don't know, what do you think stopped the progress? I guess so. Why former Chairwoman Shimada didn't use the funds when she was still in school was because of some technical issue. But if she accessed the funds in May, that meant the grant would have started, and then she wanted it to have the most impact possible. So she was asking the next year's committee to kind of access those funds in August, but we haven't heard anything about that. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I guess it's just different priorities of leadership. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Senator Pauls.
Senator Paul is off campus. So basically, I'm a part of the new committee, one former chair, Models Committee, Student Services, and this hasn't really been talked about. So I was wondering, like, we've been in contact with our chair, Charlotte Chair, she's not here right now, but I've been in contact with her as the Aggie Green Fund, trying to contact her. Like, how is that?
During the transition from former Georgia to the current, they both of them were introduced to all the stakeholders. So Ann Flo has been trying to reach out to the current chair, and then we reached out as well. And I think it was assumed that the chair would have to show initiative and reach out to the custodial services. So when we read custodial services, they were under the impression that we already had funds, so it was like a setting up meeting, but we told them that we didn't know what's going on about it, so, yeah.
Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, college engineering. So going back to kind of what she had asked, the original pilot program, they had said that they wanted it at the end of school, they're over the summer, and then at the beginning of school. So you're saying that that's basically knowing that it's not happening anymore? Or that, like, the idea of you're not wanting that, you want it for that to start of August, and then go throughout the full year?
1 minute remaining.
Well, it will
What's your
happen,
motion?
it will just happen.
I'm gonna pause you real quick.
So after I'll make a motion to extend the time for question and answer.
Bye.
5 minutes.
Seeing multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 5 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Please continue.
So, yes, the initial, sorry, I lost it. The initial plan was to have them installed in August, but for that, the funds needed to be accessed in August, so they could have continuous progress reports and stuff like that. So that's why Chair Tamara, before she graduated, she couldn't access those funds. So, however, the Aggie grant still exists, but it's just not, it's not being claimed at this point. So it would have to happen when the funds are accessed. So it would be on the current student services committee to make that happen.
Senator Trustler.
Thank you. Senator Trostler on campus. It's been a while since we talked about this resolution. It's been also since the summer. Could you just kind of clarify and reiterate as to why we're using the Green Fund grant and some of the mechanisms behind that, just kind of refresh the memories?
So of course I've never been a part of the Senate, so I don't really know the intricacies behind why Senator Machado decided to go with the Green Fund, but Aggie Green Fund has I guess they were really enthusiastic about this project because of the sustainability of it, and also that they personally support this initiative. And I'm sure that Ashali applied to a few grants, but I think she got the Aggie Green Fund as well.
We're gonna have minutes remain. Senator Lindsay York.
Senator Yield, off-campus caucus. Would Deeds be willing to take on this project? I know the current chair has a lot of her, so I'm sure she'd be willing if y'all would step up and do this. I don't know if that's an option, but I think that'd be something. I can get you her contact info.
So how it would work is that she would, the current person would have to access those funds, and after the first phase of the initiative, I'm sure that we can take over the project, or help with some other organizations as well, and anybody else who would like to work on it.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Banks.
Sure, thanks, Academic Chair. Do you know exactly who the grant is made out to? Is it specifically the Student Services Committee, is it the Student Senate, is it a particular person? You know, who exactly can access that?
When I was talking to Ashali, it seemed like it was going to be her successor, or I guess who could access it, so, but I can follow up with you on that.
Do you have any further questions for our presenters? Seeing none, thank you guys. Now recognize Tate Banks on behalf of Senate.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So, I really love Christmas, so I wanted to get up here and wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I have a bunch of anything that anybody wants, so I'm just come up with my best. I hope there aren't any questions, but
Have any questions for Chair Banks? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, and with that, we'll now, that now concludes our period of open forum. We'll move into a period of the approval of the 11/13/2019 meeting minutes. Do you have any objection to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of passing the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. With that, we'll now move into a period of judicial court considerations. If Greg Ross, please come down to the floor, be able to introduce the candidates.
Sally Senate.
Howdy.
Howdy.
So obviously, I'm not the student body president, can be here tonight, he's actually out of state. So I'm gonna introduce Grace Beer first. We're gonna Grace first. Yes. So I've actually, I didn't interview Grace, but I've known Grace a long time. We go to church together. She's really dedicated. I actually worked with her a little bit last year because she was an intern for State Senator Don Buckingham. So I was in that office all the time, and she was always a friendly face. And we got to work together there. We got some good stuff done that maybe if she would have been there otherwise, we couldn't have got it done. So without further ado, Grace Beer.
Howdy.
Howdy.
All right, so again, my name is Grace Binger. Thanks.
Low budget.
All right, so a little bit about me. I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas, and then my family moved up to Kima right before high school. So my family, like close family, still in Kima, but Corpus Christi still home. My hobbies are sailing, hunting, and reading. So a little look at my life. At my time at Texas A&M, I'm in the mixed business school, and I'm a management major, and I have an emphasis in pre-law. And I'm a member of Chi Omega. I was actually the marketing director there for a year. I'm no longer the marketing director, my term is up, but that was super fun. And as Gregory mentioned, I was active at Canterbury, which is the student center for St. Thomas Episcopal Church. I was on vestry there, and that was a really great time. It was a really great community. So kind of the reason I applied, I literally saw the email like in my inbox from Mikey. Like, and I was like, okay, what is this? So I Googled it, literally Googled it, and kind of read about this and started reading about the McIntosh versus Election Commission, TV, like the decision on that. And like, I was here, like I was a freshman when all that happened. And like, I remember the uproar the campus was in. It was like kind of this contentious thing, but the court actually like applied the statute in a very nonpartisan way. They looked at the statute and applied it as written. And that's something I think is really important, applying the law as it was written. The court played a totally unbiased role and just applied to the Constitution or the rules and bylaws to the situation. And that was something I really respected. And that was part of the reason I wanted to apply and kind of start the ball rolling on this process, is because this body really does what it's supposed to do. It does what it's intended to do, and it doesn't legislate from the bench or anything like that. And that's something I think is really important. And then kind of a personal motivation, I'm an aspiring law student, so I'm starting to apply for law schools. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm a senior. And like Gregory mentioned, I spent some time in the Texas Senate, and while I was there, I actually got to interact with a lot of judges from the district and all sorts of people, and it just kind of got my interest spiked and stuff like this, so kind of after that, it really made me more interested in going to law school and kind of pursuing something like this. And this is just a new way to serve like the larger admin community. I've done stuff with church, I've done stuff with my sorority, but I've never really served the student body in a way like this. And I think it's a really cool opportunity and way to serve. All right, so a little bit about my judicial philosophy, which is judicial minimalism. So I don't know if you guys know who Sandra Day O'Connor is. She's super cool, y'all. Like, she's so cool. She was the first woman to ever serve on the Supreme Court. She's actually from Texas. She was appointed by President Reagan. And she really embodied judicial minimalism. So basically what it is kind of the first aspect of it is like the law should be interpreted as written. And not a lot of legislating from the bench, not a lot of swaying one way or the other. And that's something I think is really important. And it puts great stock in a past precedent. So it puts a lot of emphasis on looking at like the past rulings on this and kind of sticking with that. And each case is viewed in a standalone fashion. So like you look at one case, and if there's a need to stray away from precedent, it within this philosophy, it's like a very narrow deviation. Like you write a very narrow opinion, so it could be applied just really broadly, and it allows it. So with that, it allows the Constitution to stay a living document, which is something I think is really important. It's the reason America works and why we're still here, and it kind of respects the integrity of the Constitution while respecting the laws that are passed in this body. So, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And with that, we'll move into a period of question and answers. Do I see any questions for our presenter? Seeing none, we thank you. If you please step off the floor.
Thank you, guys.
Grace, you actually step out.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. We'll now recognize Chair Berger on behalf of himself as well as the Judicial Committee for their recommendation. Daniel, if you wouldn't mind stepping out as well. Probation already. Thank you.
Chair Berger, Rules and Regulations. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So real quick, before we get into the actual recommendation of the committee, just a little reminder. So before any nominee to the judicial court can be confirmed in the Senate body meeting, they have to go through an interview with a judicial nomination confirmation subcommittee. That subcommittee was chaired by myself and made up of members of the Rules and Regulations Committee. And so with that, we provide videotapes of the hearing, and we provide a condensed report, sort of a summary of the hearing. Both of those are on the Google Drive. I know there was a little bit of confusion coming into this meeting as to whether or not we would be able to confirm the appointed justices tonight. Just to kind of clarify things, like in the spirit of full disclosure, I know it's not the best rule that's in the code, and I definitely urge you to change this if it bugs you. But looking at Title 3, Chapter 1, Article 10, Section 2, Subsection A, 4, and 5 of the code, I had to write that down because I'm not that smart. But looking at those two subsections, it basically provides a time frame for when we release the videos as well as the report. And so what it currently reads in the code is that within the 48-hour period before the next general meeting, the report needs to be put on the Senate Drive, and then within the 24-hour period before, the videos need to be up. And so the videos and report were both up in that time frame. I definitely urge somebody, if it irks them, please turn this into a deadline, because the way it is right now, it's saying basically you can't upload them before 48 or 24 hours before. And just in the spirit of letting everybody have an adequate amount of time, especially if it boils down to the point where we're getting to final season and you only have 24 or 48 hours to do these, it definitely would just make it a lot easier on everybody if we turned it into a deadline thing, because then it gives you at least that amount of time. And then also, the main reason that we made sure we could do confirmation tonight, this is kind of a, I guess, plan C scenario, because this is now the third time we've tried this. But this is currently, we feel, our best option to give y'all actual free rein to choose, because if we were to not hold this confirmation hearing tonight, or not hold this confirmation tonight, and we were to postpone it until next semester, then it gets to the point where next semester you really feel like, you know, you might just have to confirm because you want to fill the court, because it has been forever and a half and we still don't have a full court. And so the hope is of the committee that, this is gonna go swimmingly, but just in case y'all do have issues with any of the candidates, it gives us a little bit of extra time so that y'all can vote as you actually feel, not you feel like you're forced into it. And so with that, I'll go ahead and get into the recommendation on race. Like I said, on the drive, you're more than welcome to read the report, watch those videos, but the committee was made up of just about every single member of the Rules and Regulations Committee. The hearing was held on November 20th, 2019 at 6 p.m. And basically, after asking them a series of questions, we determined that Grace is just absolutely stellar. She's incredibly active in the community. She has a willingness to serve both outside and inside of Texas A&M and student government. That's really awesome. We believe that she will be a fair and impartial justice. We think that she definitely will be able to allocate the necessary amount of time to this role. And we definitely think that she's going to fill this role incredibly well. And so with that, we, the members of the Judicial Court Nomination Subcommittee, recommend that the Senate confirm Grace Winger as an Associate Justice for the Texas A&M Judicial Court.
Thank you, Chair Berger. With that, do we have any questions for Chair Berger? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against. Do we have any debate against the nominee? Seeing none, debate is now one-sided. Debate has now closed. With that, move into a period of voting for the consideration of this nominee. All in favor of confirming Grace Binger to be the next Associate Justice, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. If you all please rise.
No, okay, raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Grace Binger. Do solemnly swear. To faithfully execute to the best of my abilities. The duties of the office of Associate Justice. For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association. To uphold the honor of the same. At all times to protect the welfare. Of the student body. And to promote good relations with the students. And those concerned with the university. Thank you.
Please be seated. We'll now move into consideration of Daniel Chang, also for Associate Justice. Greg, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
So howdy again.
Howdy.
So I actually had the chance to interview Daniel for semi-president elect. I was absolutely blown away during the interview. He's also a sophomore class 2022, college engineering, biomedical engineering, which sounds incredibly difficult. But I was totally blown away by his professionalism and also his knowledge of the case. After the interview and we did all the questions that were on the sheet, he actually brought his own one-pager on the Macintosh case and actually walked me through the case, which was like really interesting because I'd never been or looked through the Macintosh case. So very professional. He has all of his ducks in a row. I think he would be an excellent addition to Supreme Court.
Thank you. Thank you. Dan, if you want to come down to the floor. You have 5 minutes.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Hi, so my name is Daniel Chang, and biomedical engineering major, and I'm an engineering officer. So here are 3 flags. So as a kid, I stayed in Germany for 2 years. That was before elementary school, and I also stayed in Taiwan for a long time. And I came to the U.S. in 2012, and I'm loving it. And yeah, I'm an undergraduate teaching fellow for Calculus Math 152, and I ran a volunteer music organization from 2015 to 2018, where we do monthly performances on local nursing homes. And my hobby is music, advocacy, and hope this isn't too controversial. I like Madam Secretary and American Bookstore. And this picture on the left, that's a cultural and citizen diplomacy program hosted by the Taiwanese government, and the gentleman in the middle, first row, is actually the vice president of Taiwan, and that's in the presidential building, and I'm on the third row wearing a gray shirt. Okay, so motivations. So I have interest in law and justice. So procedural justice, four pillars. So we have fairness in the process, and impartiality, and transparency, and also opportunity for people to make their voice heard. And so I think that's really important for an organization to run smoothly and fairly. And some of you guys might recognize me from the last meeting. I wrote the Stand with Hong Kong resolution, and I'd like to thank you guys for standing with human rights. And service, I would like to be more involved in the Aggie community and offer my services to the Student Government Association. And we have a bunch of STEM majors here in the Senate, but on the judicial court, it's mainly like business or pre-law majors, which is great, of course. But I think diversity of like thoughts is always great and beneficial for the organization. And my judicial philosophy. So of course, the main thing, stare decisis Latin for let the decision stand, the principle of respecting precedent, and to maintain impartiality according to the judicial bylaws, Article 5, Section 2, I will recuse myself if I do see a potential conflict of interest, though unlikely to happen, and also by the Aggie Honor Code. And I believe in equality under the law, meaning that everyone should be treated the same, and let the code, the Constitution, be the guide. So in the case of McIntosh versus Election Commissioner Keithley, though there were controversy, the court interpreted the case strictly based on the SGA code and found that the election commissioner actually made the right decision. And in context, and when you're doing judicial interpretation, it's still important to keep in mind context, right? So one of the most common examples is, should a struggling mother who stole a loaf of bread receive the same punishment as another petty thief, right? And obviously, constitutions and codes are living and dynamic documents. So while precedence is important, we must also take into account of the amendments that might be made throughout the course. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And with that, we move into a period of question and answer. If you please stand on floor. Do you have any questions for our candidate? Yes, Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, Academic Affairs. So given the fact that you've offered your resolution and that you obviously have some I think that was motivation about STEM government and whatnot, do you think that could cause any questions about conflict of interest or using your trying to rule on the case?
No, because I think these are kind of two different things, right? Because the resolution is more based on like a social issue that's important to a lot of people in general, even like outside of SGA. And when I'm making decisions on the court, it's mainly going to concern like the functioning and the processes of this organization. So I'm confident that I can say more.
Any further questions for our presenter? Seeing none, thank you, Daniel. Please step outside. And I recognize Chair Berger again.
Chair Berger, Rules and Regulations. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
All right, so Daniel, the members of the subcommittee viewed Daniel as an incredibly intelligent, perceptive individual. We thought that he would bring that really well into the world of justice. He's a very well-rounded individual, well-spoken individual who holds integrity to the highest standards. He comes from a fairly diverse background, which will bring a pretty cool perspective into the court, in our opinion. We really do believe that he holds impartiality to the highest regard, and he definitely can make sure that he can dedicate the proper amount of effort and time into this role. And so with that, we, the members of the Judicial Court Nomination Confirmation Subcommittee, recommend that the Student Senate body confirm Daniel Chang as an Associate Justice of the Texas A&M Student Government Association Judicial Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Chair Berger? Seeing none, thank you. We'll now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against. Is there any debate against Daniel Chang? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. The period of debate has now closed. We'll now move into a period of voting. All those in favor of confirming Daniel Chang to be your next Associate Justice, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. That now concludes our, actually, please, this is not, you all please rise.
Do solemnly swear to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities the duties of the office of Associate Justice for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association, to uphold the honor of the same at all times, to protect the welfare of the student body, and to promote good relations with the students and those concerned with the university.
That now concludes our period of judicial court considerations, and we'll now move into a period of officer elections for the Finance Committee chair vacancy that Chair Harris has now open. And with that, do we have any nominations? Yes, Chair Harris.
Senator Harris off campus, I nominate Senator Newman.
Senator Newman, do you accept? Seeing 1 second. Do I have any further nominations? Okay. Seeing none, Senator Newman, if you and your character witness would like to come down to the floor. I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
All right. So I am Connor Newman, class of 2022, and I'm running to be the next finance chair. Evan's going to be my character witness at the end. So, all right. So just quick, let y'all know about me. I am a agricultural economics major. I have a minor in agri-food sales. Yeah, there's a lot of ag economics folks in here. And I'm from Belleville, Texas and Round Top, Texas. I went to high school in Belleville, but my family has raised cattle in Round Top since 1880-ish. They were German immigrants, and so I like to say I'm from both of those communities. I am a second generation fighting Texas Aggie. My dad's Scott, is class of 95, animal science. My mom is class of 96, education. So you can see in the top right corner, my brother, and then my dad, and my mom. And then at the bottom, I'm an accredited parliamentarian. That's just a fun fact about me. That's my team. Everybody is an accredited parliamentarian because we all scored at least 80% on our test at the National Competition for Parliamentary Procedure. Next slide. Quick on my Texas A&M involvement. Of course, I'm in the Student Senate. I'm the caucus leader for the College of Ag and Life Sciences. I'm involved in freshman leadership organizations. I'm the assistant director for freshman leadership experience. For the College of Ag and Life Sciences, I'm on the student council, Pulse Council. For the Food Distribution Research Society, I'm a part of the student marketing competition team. I got to go to Seattle, Washington, which is, you see that picture right there? That's at Pier 66 in Seattle. In the Department of Ag Economics, I'm a student worker, so I deal a lot with registration. So when the provost was up here speaking about Navigate and registration and Howdy, I know all about that because I have to deal with it on a daily basis. Next slide, please. Core values. I feel like these are important. I do include one of the university's core values, but mine are honesty, integrity, and learning. Next slide. For honesty, do honest work for SGA. Now, that doesn't just look like being truthful. That looks like being truthful, but also making sure that you're doing the best for SGA, as well as everybody in the Senate room. Uphold the work of Chair Harris. Make sure that the tradition of excellence as far as the finance committee continues. Make sure I continue to do a good job and be honest about where SGA's money goes. We allocate $50,000, if my memory serves me correctly. And I know we passed that bill for the finance committee, but we got to make sure that if anybody has any questions about where money goes, I can answer those questions, because if they don't know to look up the bill, they may not know where the money goes. Next, integrity. This is my most important core value. Being from Texas, I feel like a lot of people have the core value of integrity just because it's bred into us here. Play square with individuals. Got to make sure that you play square with anybody that you come into contact with, and got to continue to do what is right for the Student Senate and for Student Government Association. Learning. Build for next year's appropriation hearings. Start getting the ball rolling as far as that goes, as well as one more hearing with the Student Fee Advisory Board. Explore ways to make appropriation more efficient, and if there is a way to make appropriation more efficient, then write a bill about that and change the code. And apply classwork knowledge from agricultural economics to the committee as far as that goes, and appropriations. Next slide. All right, thanks for giggling. That's all I have. Now, Evan Berg, please take it away.
5 minutes, sir.
Chair Berger, Rules and Regulations. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Yeah, so just kind of a little bit to preface. I've known Connor for about 6 years now. I met him, well, I guess I've known him of Connor probably 7 or 8 years, and then known him for about 6. Whenever I was in high school, getting towards like my sophomore, junior year, I started hearing about this kid from Belleville, Texas, which it's not really that often that a kid from Katy, Texas hears about somebody from Belleville. That's just how much of a stud this dude is. I mean, he was absolutely a celebrity in the agricultural world, especially around my area. I had an ag teacher who would always tell me about this one kid. He's kind of annoying, but he's really good at everything. Who we had over at Belleville High School, and that was really cool to see, especially seeing as the man who just couldn't keep Connor's name out of his mouth was one of the most respected and most qualified individuals I've ever met in my life, and probably the most qualified person to judge somebody's character. And so knowing that he was a fan of Connor Newman made me an instant fan. And then I was actually, I was blessed with the opportunity to meet him a couple years later, and actually get to compete against him in a bunch of different stuff, especially with cattle showing. Now, that was not much of a competition for Connor because I'd been doing it for like 2 weeks, and he'd been doing it for his whole life, and they were a lot better than me. Let me tell you, Newman Farms is better than Evans Cattle Co. But we're working on it. But from the start, he was one of the most helpful people. I mean, he's just somebody who I've always been able to go to. I mean, 6 years later, he's still one of my best friends. And so, as far as any question of character, I've never seen anybody really give me, or I've never seen Connor give me a valid reason to question it. And I believe that's for really good reason. I just think Connor's a really great individual, and I definitely think he's right for the role. I mean, I think he'd be better for my role because Connor's the guy I kind of look at to make sure I'm doing things right when it comes to Parley Bro. I'm almost an accredited parliamentarian, but not there yet. And so, I mean, yeah, definitely encourage you to vote for Connor. He's an incredible individual, and he really will do a great job in this role. Thank you.
Thank you. If you step off the floor, please, Chair Berger. And we'll now move into a period of question and answer for Connor Newman. Do I see any questions for the candidate? Yes, Chair Spur.
Chair Spur, constituency affairs. Are you planning on running for Senate again next year?
You know, that's still kind of up in the air, especially with elections coming up because, you know, you can't publicize your candidacy ahead of time. So it's kind of up in the air still. I don't know if that's in the plans or not for me. I got to do a lot of thinking on that.
Briefly.
If you're possibly what are your motivations for being the chair if you are not going to continue, possibly continue?
Well, I think that my coursework has a lot to do with it. Being an ag econ major, I feel like it can be a lot of benefit to me and a lot of benefit to Student Government Association, as well as working closely with Chair Harris. He's done a great job, Finance Committee. And I want to just continue that, and I want to make sure that I work hard to uphold the integrity of the Finance Committee.
Senator Martin.
Senator Martin off campus. Seeing as you're more than likely about to be our finance chair, you're about to be the chair of a committee with probably one of the worst retention rates in the Senate. So how do you think you might be able to alter the committee to help that?
As far as retention rates, as people do in Finance Committee again next year,
Yeah. No, just historically, people who end up in Finance Committee seem to drop Senate or absence out or otherwise resign.
Yeah, so I think working on that, I mentioned it briefly in my presentation, but work on appropriation hearings. If we get that done quicker and then we continue to work on stuff and encourage committee members to attend different committee meetings and maintain their involvement in the Senate, I think that that's how we could increase retention. And if I am elected to be finance chair, I'd love to sit and talk with you about it if you have any ideas for it.
Senator Morgan.
Senator Morgan, college education. What is your favorite thing about Texas A&M?
Oh, my favorite thing about Texas A&M, I'd have to say seeing Spirit of Aggieland for football games. That's my favorite thing about A&M, especially you saw a picture on the first slide of my brother and I. I got to bring him to his first football game at A&M and getting to listen to him sing it and getting him, watching him just take it all in. That is worth more than the price of admission. It's worth so much to me, and that's what I think is my favorite thing. It makes A&M special as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Senator Feldman.
Senator Feldman, off-campus caucus. Seeing as if you are elected to finance chair, you're going to have a whole winter break to plan out. Day one, you come in after the break as finance chair. What would you do and why?
I think moving towards the student fee advisory board meetings, I think that's the thing that we need to get the ball rolling for. Make sure that we get that checked off the list and then see where else we are needed. I think that's day one on the job.
Thank you. Do you have any further questions for the candidate? Seeing none, thank you. If you please step outside. And with that, we'll move into a period of debate, starting with debate against. Do you have any debate against this candidate? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and the period of debate has now closed. We'll now move into a period of voting by voice. As a reminder, this needs a simple majority to be confirmed, and so all in favor of Connor Newman being your next finance chair, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. If you all please rise. You can swear yourself in.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a waiting game.
I've tried to sell Evan some cows too to help him out, by the way. He said I've been doing it for a while. He can buy my cows. Pay for my tuition.
Okay, ready? I state your name.
I, Connor Newman,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute
to faithfully
to
execute
the best of my abilities
to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office
the duties of the office of Finance Committee Chair
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times, to protect the welfare
at all times, to protect the welfare
of the student body
of the student body,
and to promote good relations with the students
and to promote good relations between students
and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university. Thank you.
Please be seated. And that now concludes our period of officer elections. We'll now move into a period of old business, beginning with SB 7208, the Omnibus Senate Bylaw Revision Act. If the authors and sponsors would please come down to the floor.
That's fine.
Howdy. Howdy.
I'm Tim Jeffers in the Engineering Caucus. So I'm going to read this and the changes we made in committee.
All right, so whereas the finance chair and the finance committee members are under an enormous amount of strain during the start of fall semester, and whereas the Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee has been viewed as a biased, opaque committee, and whereas during the confirmation process there have been non-specific explanations why a particular candidate was chosen, and therefore let it be enacted that Title III, Chapter 1A, Article 9, Section 5, Subsection B be amended by making the following modifications. The Senate Finance Committee will consist of the Finance Chair and 6 or 8 senators selected by the Finance Chair and confirmed by the Senate. The Student Body President or his or her cabinet member in charge of the Student Government Association budget, the Rules and Regulations Chair of the Senate, the Student Government Association Advisor, and the Student Government Association Business Coordinator may serve as non-voting members of the committee to advise and assist the Appropriations Committee. Number 2, all members of the Internal Affairs Committee, with exception to the Speaker of the Senate and the Speaker Pro Tempore and the Executive Director of Operations, shall be sworn in as ex officio members of the Senate Finance Committee upon their respective elections. These ex officio members are intended as a reserve and only serve in this capacity as a voting member of the Student Senate Finance Committee if a quorum cannot first be met by the Finance Chair and the committee members. So that it reads, the Senate Finance Committee will consist of the Finance Chair and the 6 or 8 senators selected by the Finance Chair and confirmed by the Senate. Number 1, the Student Body President or his or her cabinet member in charge of the Student Government Association budget, the Rules and Regulations Chair of the Student Senate, the Student Government Association Advisor, and the Student Government Association Business Coordinator may serve as non-voting members of the committee to advise and assist with the Appropriations Committee. Number 2, all members of the Internal Affairs Committee, with exception to the Speaker of the Senate, the Speaker Pro Tempore, and the Executive Director of Operations, shall be sworn in as ex officio members of the Senate Finance Committee upon their respective elections. These ex officio members are intended as a reserve and only serve in this capacity as a voting member of the Senate Finance Committee if a quorum cannot first be met by the Finance Chair and their committee members. And let it be further enacted too that Title III, Chapter 1, Article 10, Section 2 be amended by making the following modifications. Number 2, the Rules and Regulations Chair shall appoint a Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee. This subcommittee shall be charged with holding a confirmation hearing to consider the qualifications of each judicial court nominee. The subcommittee shall consist of a chair and no less than 2 other members. The Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee Chair shall set the date of the hearings. The Senate body, Executive Vice President, and the Judicial Court Justice nominees that shall participate in the confirmation hearing shall be notified as soon as the hearing date is set. During the confirmation hearing, subcommittee members shall question the Judicial Court Justice nominee. At least 7 questions shall be posed. The confirmation subcommittee chair shall be permitted to ask at least 3 questions, and the other members shall be permitted to ask at least 2 questions each. A judicial court nominee cannot be questioned for longer than an hour. Only 1 justice can be questioned at a time. This hearing shall be open to the public. This hearing shall be videotaped for the record. This recording must be made accessible to the public within 24 hours before the next general meeting. The subcommittee shall not have the authority to retain a judicial court nominee. Within 48 hours before the next general meeting, the Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee shall make available to every member of the Senate body a report of the committee's proceedings. This report shall include date and time of the hearing, members of the subcommittee, the recommendation of the Senate body, or recommendation to the Senate body on whether to confirm the Judicial Court Justice nominee or not. The recommendation must be approved by a 2/3 decision. so that it reads, the Rules and Regulations Chair shall appoint a Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee. This subcommittee shall be charged with holding a confirmation hearing to consider the qualifications of each judicial court nominee. This subcommittee shall consist of a chair and no less than 2 other members. The Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee Chair shall set the date of the hearings. The Senate Body Executive Vice President and the Judicial Court Justice nominees that shall participate in the confirmation hearing shall be notified as soon as the hearing date is set. During the confirmation hearing, subcommittee members shall question the Judicial Court Justice nominee. At least 7 questions shall be posed. The confirmation subcommittee chair shall be permitted to ask at least 3 questions, and the other members shall be permitted to ask at least 2 questions each. The judicial court nominee cannot be questioned for longer than an hour. Only one justice can be questioned at a time. This hearing shall be open to the public. This hearing shall be videotaped for the record. This recording must be made accessible to the public within 24 hours before the next general meeting. This subcommittee shall not have the authority to retain a judicial court nominee. Within 48 hours before the next general meeting, the Judicial Court Justice Confirmation Subcommittee shall make available to every Senate body a report of the committee's proceedings. This report shall include date and time of the hearing, members of the committee, recommendation to the Senate body on whether to confirm the Judicial Court Justice nominee or not. The recommendation must be approved by a 2/3 decision. If the subcommittee chair decides, the recommendation will also include a group summary of the hearing. And let it be further enacted that Title III, Chapter 1, Article 10, Section 2, Subsection B, Number 1, the student body president or the officer making the appointment and all nominees shall have speaking privileges for a period of up to 5 minutes per appointee in order to present the appointees for confirmation. During the presentation, the official making the appointment should describe the specific qualifications and traits that led to their selection, so that it reads, the student body president or the officer making the appointment and all nominees shall have speaking privileges for a period of up to 5 minutes per appointee in order to present the appointees for confirmation. During the presentation, the official making the appointment should describe the specific qualification and traits that led to their selection. And let it be further enacted that let all instances of the word speaker pro temp be corrected to read as speaker pro tempore. And let it be further enacted that a copy of this bill be sent to myself, the Rules and Regulations Chair, via email, Connor Hull, the Speaker pro tempore, via email, and Casey Katusak, Chief of Staff, via email.
Well, thank you guys. We'll now move into a period of question and answer. Do I see any questions for our presenters? Seeing none, if you two please step off the floor. We'll now move into a period of debate, starting with debate against. Is there any debate against SB 7208? Motion. Please say.
Senator Martin off campus.
Do you have an amendment?
Yes, I have an.
Do you want to debate against? Yes, debate against for Senator Martin.
Yes, Senator Martin off campus. I have an amendment
Please state your amendment.
to change the within for the submission of video and report from the 24 hours and 48 hours respectively to the 48-hour deadline for both.
So you want to change within to what exactly, excuse me?
I can actually make a suggestion on both of them.
Okay.
On the Google Doc, so you can see exactly the wording.
Okay, seeing 1 second. All in favor of amending to reflect as written on the comments by Senator Martin, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Senator Martin, you still have the floor in debate against.
I yield my time to.
The floor has been yielded to, and with that, we'll move into a period of debate for this resolution. Where I see any debate for SB 7208. Seeing none, debate is one-sided. The period of debate has now closed. With that, we'll move into a period of voting. All in favor of passing SB 7208, the Omnibus Senate Bylaw Revision Act, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. That now concludes our period of old business. We'll move into a period of new business, beginning with SR 7232, the November Ag Input Resolution. If the authors and sponsors would please come down to the floor.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
This resolution is written by the constituency records and me. But it basically says that we are recognizing the responses we've received from ag input for the month of November. It's a very extensive process that my committee and I have worked on, but it basically talked about transportation. We've received a plethora of responses that y'all will hear about later tonight. With this resolution, but it talks about the fact that we are recognizing the responses we received and that we are diligently working as student senate to find solutions or to provide answers to the problems brought forward. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Chair Spur? Seeing none, thank you. If you please step up to the floor. And with that, we'll move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Is there any debate against SR 7232? Seeing none, debate is one-sided and the period of debate has now closed. We'll now move into a period of voting. All in favor of passing SR 7232, the November Ag Input Resolution, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. We'll now begin for the reading of SR 7233, the Disability Subcommission Resolution. If the bill authors and sponsors would please come down to the floor.
Howdy again.
Howdy.
I'm sure most of you got a chance to come to the disabilities and diversity training that we held a few Wednesdays ago, and hear Kyle Cox speak about the Disability Subcommission. That's under Trey Elizondo on the Diversity Commission. Basically, this resolution was something that Kyle came to me met probably a month and a half ago. Schools have sometimes things first, but we've been working on this together. He wasn't able to be here tonight, but we've worked on a resolution that basically says that we recognize the Disability Subcommission, and that we wish to help them in their endeavors and that we want to support them. If you didn't get a chance to meet Kyle or get to speak with Kyle, I would highly recommend getting to sit down. They have their meetings every other Monday, and I can move you, but this basically just talks about the Disability Subcommission and our efforts to partner with them throughout the rest of this Senate. So with that, I yield on the questions.
And with that, move into a period of question and answer. Do you have any questions for our presenters? Seeing none, thank you guys. If you please step off the floor. We'll now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Is there any debate against SR 7233? Seeing none, debate is one-sided and the period of debate has now closed. With that, move into a period of voting. All in favor of passing SR 7233, the Disability Subcommission Resolution, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. That now concludes our period of new business. We'll now begin our period for open session. Do you have any pieces of legislation for existing? Yes, Senator York.
So you look, I have a piece of open session.
Please state your title.
Congratulations, 2019 Ag graduates.
Seeing multiple seconds, if the bill authors and sponsors would like to come to the floor.
Whereas one, in the upcoming weeks, thousands of hardworking Aggies will graduate from Texas A&M University. Whereas two, students that recognizes the trials of growth that come with the college experience that extend our excitement for the future of these Aggies. May you always remember you have a home where excellence. Therefore, let it be resolved one, the Texas A&M Student Senate congratulates their soon-to-be Aggie graduates. We are proud of their accomplishments and the way they have each left the mark on campus. Let it be further resolved to a copy of this resolution be sent to Mikey Gillette and the county. Open the questions.
Thank you. Now move into a period of question and answer. Do you have any questions for our presenters? Seeing none, thank you guys. Please step off the floor. And with that, move into a period of debate. This will be SR 7234. And do you have any debate against this resolution? Seeing none, debate is one-sided and the period of debate has now closed. With that, we'll move into a period of voting. All in favor of passing SR 7234, the Congratulations 2019 Aggie graduates, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. Do you have any further pieces of legislation for open session? Yes, Senator Rufo.
Senator Rufo, Liberal Arts Caucus, I have a resolution.
Please state the title.
DACA resolution. Support for DACA recipients resolution.
Okay. Seeing at least multiple seconds. If the bill authors and sponsors would like to come down to the floor. You have 10 minutes starting at howdy.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So I'm here as a 69th and 70th session senator from back in the day. We can start to say, I see some familiar faces. Dave Banks, Colton, Speaker Mendoza. And I just want to say that it's a really big privilege to be sitting in your spots tonight. Because I want to remind you that all of you have a really big job, and that is to represent every single community members of your own caucus. Those community members have a range of stories. And those stories can be heard here in the Senate room tonight. I don't know if many of you knew, but in the 70th session, we actually passed a resolution to support all of the DACA recipients because at that time, the current administration had ended. And so to show support, me and several other senators, we passed a resolution in order to show support, and it passed. Every first time that a resolution like that has passed. And so now we're back here again in order to make another statement from the Senate to say that we are staying with the undocumented community here at Texas A&M. And so with that, Senator Marufo is going to read out the resolution for you.
So howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So this is a resolution to support for a resolution to express the support for the undocumented community and address congressional actions. So whereas one, deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, is an American immigration policy for undocumented immigrants deployed by the Obama administration by Executive Branch Memorandum entitled Exercising Prosecutorial Discretion with Respect to Individuals Who Came to the United States as Children on June 15, 2012. And DACA is available for undocumented immigrants who came to the United States before their 16th birthday, were under 31 years old, have continuously resided in the United States since June 15, 2007, and were in school, graduated, or had obtained a certificate of completion from high school, obtained a general education development GED certificate, or were an honorably discharged veteran of the Coast Guard or Armed Forces of the United States, and individuals were considered ineligible if they had been convicted of a felony or a significant misdemeanor. And the current administration announced their plan to rescind DACA by memorandum on September 5th, 2016. This repeal resulted in the rejection of all DACA initial requests and associated applications for employment authorization documents after the memorandum date, the rejection of all DACA renewals requests and associated applications for employment authorization documents filed outside of the current beneficiaries that have been accepted by the department as of the date of the memorandum, and from current beneficiaries whose benefit will expire between the date of the memorandum and March 5th, 2018, that have been accepted by the department as of October 5th, 2017. And this repeal resulted in the suspending of approval for Form I-131 applications for advanced parole under standard associated with the DACA program, and the closing of all pending Form 1 or I-131 applications for advanced parole filed under associated with the DACA program, and the refunds of associated fees. And the U.S. District Courts of the Northern District of California and Eastern District of New York have issued litigations to continue the process of DACA applications and renewals, mainly in the case of the Department of Homeland Security v. Regents of the University of California. And there are 660,880 active DACA recipients and 35,680 with pending renewals. The number of undocumented immigrants in the United States range from 10.5 million to 12 million, and 1.5 million undocumented students in the United States. And there are 109,090 active DACA recipients that live in Texas, 1,597,000 unauthorized persons that live in Texas. And on November 12, 2019, the hearing of the case of the Department of Homeland Security v. Regents of the University of California commenced. And students from across the nation marched, held walkouts, and demonstrations across the nation, namely in Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C., where Aggies came together to stand with the undocumented community. And the final sentiment of the first day of the hearing, November 12th, was the Supreme Court leaning on the side of allowing the DACA program to end. And allowing DACA to end would leave more than 700,000 persons without protections from deportations, and 110,000 of those being from Texas alone. And per the restrictions of DACA, there are thousands of undocumented persons who did not qualify for or receive the opportunity to apply for the program due to their inability to apply to the program due to age or date of arrival to the U.S. And the Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes that there are current Aggies and future Aggies that are not and will not be protected under the DACA program. Therefore, let it be resolved. 1. Texas A&M Student Senate acknowledges and supports every current Texas A&M documented and undocumented student and the thousands of potential Aggies that will be affected by this issue, and that the Texas A&M Student Senate, on behalf of the students of Texas A&M University, do not support discrimination against students regardless of documentation status, and the Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes the degree of which current and future Aggies or students will be affected by the repeal and the current sentiment of the Supreme Court in allowing the DACA program to end. Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes the hearing of the Department of Homeland Security versus Regents of the University of California held on November 12th may have negatively affected students and encourages any impacted students who require assistance to reach out to the university staff, including but not limited to counseling and psychological services, the helpline through the Division of Student Affairs, Office of the Dean of Student Life, resident advisors, academic advisors, or peer mentors, and that this resolution be published to all Texas A&M Student Senate social media handles, and that Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes that to fully address this issue, we urge the United States Congress to pass meaningful legislation that will address the legal issues impacting these individuals' immigration statuses and allow them to the ability to live out the American dream, in which they are able to pursue a better life, a life of liberty, and pursue their happiness. And then therefore, let it be resolved 7, a copy of this resolution be sent to, and it's the Congress holders of Texas and presidents of the colleges of the university. Do I have to read them all?
I do not. I think we all vote we do not. But are you open for questions at this time? Okay, and with that, we'll open the period of question and answer. Do you have any questions for our presenters? Yes, Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering, you just read a lot. Can you, in like 30 seconds, I guess, totally say what you wanted from these? I think I got it, but.
Yeah, I did too. Okay. Oh, I can give me 1 second, I'm so sorry. So that basically what we want to get from this is that we show support for DACA recipients and undocumented persons. Even at this time, all the Supreme Court hearings have commenced, and like they're leaning to end the DACA program. and that we stand in solidarity with DACA recipients, but not only DACA recipients, but also those who weren't eligible for DACA. Because there are some current students that, in one of the whereas we had mentioned that some of them weren't eligible to apply, so some people are not even protected by DACA, and that they're with the undocumented community. So if this has negatively impacted their physical or mental health, that we're here for them. We understand that this is probably a trying time while the trials are going on, which will happen during the break, so they probably won't have the university to lean on, but that we are people that they can reach out to, and we're tangible, we're students, so we have phone numbers, and that's our emails are public information, so they could come to us if they ever needed anything.
Awesome, thanks.
Do I see a motion?
I guess Chair, Finance Committee. I move to suspend the dress code so that individuals that may want to speak that are not dress code may ask questions.
Seeing numerous seconds. All in favor of suspending the dress code to allow those not in dress code to speak, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. And with that, please continue. Oh, there we go. Well, I recognize Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, second prepared. So, do we know when the ruling of the Supreme Court case is supposed to come down? Is it kind of timetable on that?
So the Supreme Court has assigned they're going to make a decision anytime between January of next year to June. So in that time, anytime they can make the decision.
Senator Trustclair.
Thank you, Senator Trustclair on campus. What would you respond to the question that Texas Agricultural Mechanical University, a public institution funded by the federal government, does have a place injecting itself in a Supreme Court debate?
I would say that Texas A&M as an educational institution has a responsibility to support the students that are paying tuition and that don't receive federal funding to attend this university, who are just trying to receive an education and provide service in the workforce, that Texas A&M should support. No matter how it's designated as a university, it is an educational institution and it should support the student.
For example.
For example, I understand how stressful and taxing immigration issues can be on a person experienced in my own household. But why, as an institution of higher education, should Texas A&M support illegal activity?
I would say that, you're an Aggie. Students here are all Aggies. All of them, as Aggies, we should support each other. I know in the Senate session, we got the exact very same question, and we all said that overall, everybody should, no matter what the activity was, we're also to this great university. You will be receiving an Aggie ring, I don't know if you have it or not, so well undocumented to this university. You are all connected together through the Great Aggie Network, no matter what that individual's documentation status is. So to support the student is, in fact, the job of the student senator. Not only that, but a student senate. And as an Aggie yourself, you should support each other Aggies because that's just embedded in the Aggie core values.
Permission to follow up.
Go ahead.
I realize that as an Aggie, I'm here to support my constituents and all other Aggies, regardless of race, gender, creed, so on and so forth, but I will not support illegal activity. Why should I support illegal activity?
Like I said earlier, it was to support as Aggies, other Aggies, no matter what they're going through. This is just to show support to your individual Aggies that are currently going through this really not trial, but state of unbalance. They don't know where their life is going to go through. So as an Aggie yourself, I would ask myself, should I support these Aggies? Because they're people just like you. They're people who are just here to get an education. And you should support them no matter what's going through their life right now because they're Aggies and that's something you're connected with them.
5 minutes remaining. Chair Rodriguez.
Chair Rodriguez, Legislative Affairs Chair. Commissioner Prentice.
Briefly.
So as Latino and someone in the urban community where 93% and more is Latino, and a grandmother who is straight out of Mexico as well, I come from the same area we all come from, where it's appreciation and respect. It's one of those things that this is what makes it who you are.
also makes you what you are. But my question, something that I've posed to Student Senate as an Aggie, Latino, as someone who's just trying to make a general idea of what student government here at A&M should really be, is that there's a topic here at hand in this resolution that can make a lot of red-minded, but also a lot of blue-minded people start perking up with ideas. I think a lot of people in this room can feel some type of political pull as a result of this resolution. And I know since this was published a couple of days ago to several senators in this room, since this is such a potentially politically charged resolution, would y'all be open to the idea of tabling this resolution so other senators can get some peace of mind going further to vote on this, come voting time on this resolution?
Y'all can make if I don't answer the question completely, y'all can take it. But I think the sponsoring of this resolution, while the topic at hand can be divisive, the Aggies at hand aren't. So we're here to represent the students, like we're senators of our colleges, we represent the people of our colleges. So the issue of immigration and whatnot, and whether the activities done before their admission to Texas A&M was against the law or for, like, you know, we're here to stand with the undocumented community. Not only that, but undocumented Aggies. We are representatives of our colleges and representatives of the students. So I don't see this resolution as divisive. The issue can be, I don't think the resolution is. I think that if you're here to represent your colleges, if you're here to represent the students of Texas A&M, that's why y'all are here. That's why y'all take hours out of y'all Wednesdays to meet up, to talk about things, to represent the students. Then this shouldn't be as difficult as some senators may find it, whether on either side of the aisle.
I'll put you back at the end.
Point of information,
Yes, please state your point.
can we get this either sent out to the body or get the open session for it for us to?
It just be an open session.
Okay. Do I see a motion?
Chair Banks, I move to extend your question and answer
By 10. Okay. Seeing multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 10 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. We'll now recognize Senator Murphy.
Senator Murphy, off-campus caucus, kind of going along with Chair Rodriguez's point, because we didn't get this prior to today or get to see it. We're here to represent all Aggies, not just the people in this room. So it would help so that we can go out and hear what the people we represent feel on this issue. So back on that topic of, would you be able to table this?
Forgot we can't talk back and forth, but are you saying that you're willing to host town halls and things like that to reach out to your off-campus caucus to talk to the rest of your constituents? Because I'm curious to know like how you're going to reach out to them, if you want more input from senators themselves or from your caucus. Because I would argue that if senators themselves want to, I mean, you see a lot of empty seats today. It's kind of disheartening as a previous senator, but I would say that if they wanted to hear this out today, they should have been here to read this resolution. I know it's lengthy, but that's the power that the Senate has. But in terms of the question about reaching out to your constituents, if you're willing to have more discussion with your constituents, I feel like you should already sort of know how they feel already, which you should be able to vote for them here today to pass this resolution.
And I would also like to add that the hearing was November 12th, so about to be a month ago, and students are about to go on break. So the mental health of a lot of undocumented students is going to be like affected. So people go home for Christmas break. Whether or not they built a community here is aside the point, but like going home for an extended period of time and not necessarily knowing if if Texas A&M is with you, because your friends are, your family is. This resolution, I hope would leave some students with peace of mind, knowing that even if the Supreme Court at the end of the day in a few months does move to Undocumented, that they have a community here, that their student senators, the ones who represent them, are here for them, and they have a safety net in us.
Senator Feldman.
Senator Feldman, Off-Campus Caucus. So I'm going to pose a couple questions and kind of go off of what was said, especially with what Chair Rodriguez said. So this was, I know, sent out to some senators a couple days ago already. Why not give people the chance to read this and actually go along with their constituents? And based on the response you said, where I should already know, I do talk to a lot of my constituents, but I'm going to be honest, I don't pose a specific question on DACA to them. How would I know what their thoughts are? This is a very specific piece of legislation. How would you expect me to know exactly what my constituents' thoughts are so I can accurately represent them? And I'd be open to talking to them over the course of break and over the course. If I had received this legislation earlier and seen it, I would have been able to gauge their responses and actually come to you as a representative of them. This being an open legislation, I have no clue what they think, so how can I accurately represent them? So what would your response be on that as to why this is an open legislation instead of sent to us prior?
To repeat what Senator Marufo said, a lot of the students that are going through this, unfortunately, are going through a lot of stuff that they don't know what's going to happen to them. A lot of them are very unsure if the Supreme Court might rule against them, and they're here stuck at Texas A&M University without a job, and we support them to pay rent and stuff like that. So the basis to have a safety net of support from the Student Senate, this is to support them, to make sure they know that we are acknowledge them, that we recognize that we know that they are going through something, and we urge someone to do something about it. So that's why we feel like it should be said today, so those students know that they feel supported, that they know that they feel that they expect someone to rely on, which is their senators, which what you all are, to represent these students and feel like they are all well represented in order to feel supported for the undocumented students.
And I would like to add to the specificity of your question, why it wasn't an open session. I did reach out to the Speaker of the House, Speaker Mendoza, and to find out when the deadline was to have it in the agenda. Unfortunately, because of the Thanksgiving break that we had, I was unable to get responses from a lot of these. If you go to the addendum, because it is in the open session folder, these presidents of organizations that reached out because they knew, or I reached out to them to ask if they were for being a sponsor on this resolution. So I gave them an extended deadline of Tuesday, so last night. So because I wanted to show that there are more than just us senators who are willing to sponsor this piece of legislation, that there's a larger community than what you see in this room who supports the undocumented community. I chose not to put it on the agenda, but it was my first choice. Unfortunately, because of the break and just because of timing and not hearing or not quick responses, because everyone's on break, everyone has finals, I pushed it to open session.
Permission back and forth.
I put you back at the end. Chair Newman.
Chair Newman, Finance. So from my understanding, from everything y'all have said in question and answer, we're supporting undocumented immigrants. So why are we supporting illegal immigrants instead of the documented immigrants, the people that came to Texas A&M to get an education legally, instead of relying on DACA, which may be taken away?
To that, I would say that DACA, as of now, is legal, and this is how people are pursuing their education, and that they have the opportunity to have protection from deportation in this country, so that they can attend this university. Yeah, even I know that we stated that this would support the undocumented community. It's because DACA students, you know, it's not just the students who are affected. They have families, they have parents, and friends who may not have met the threshold for DACA. So I know that in the coming years, students who were not, who did not qualify for DACA will be coming to Texas A&M. I believe that this would serve as a message to them that they are welcome to attend this university. And the only reason that they didn't qualify for DACA was because of the current administration's decision to end new applications, and so that this would be an invitation to them that they have been in this country the majority of their lives, and that they are welcome to attend this university.
Thank you.
5 minutes remaining. Senator Wood.
Senator Wood, College of Engineering, 2 questions, to kind of end the debate on tabling. If I don't feel comfortable voting on this, are you suggesting that I make a rash decision, to vote? That's my first question, and the second one, kind of based off that one is, you say in the document supporting DACA and undocumented. So can you really say that you're more supporting those of legal action?
To your first question, I would say that the reason that we are having this period of debate and this period of questioning is so that you don't make a rash decision. We welcome you to ask any questions that you have regarding this resolution. And then to your second point, I would repeat my answer that I said to Senator Newman is that, like I said, that there is a community of students who are going to attend this university in the future who aren't protected from deportation at all. And I believe that this would serve as a message to them that they are able to attend this institution and that they should have no fear of wanting to pursue an education and provide service in the workforce in the future.
Just to clarify, like the word undocumented refers to future IDs and some current who aren't protected by DACA. So that's the difference between documented and undocumented. And it's meant to show that everyone should know what it is to be an Aggie, because it's so amazing that Aggies are here for one another, that we stand with one another. That's why we sing the spirit of Aggie Land before every Senate meeting, that we are here with them, and they should know what it is to be the joy of an Aggie, and that their immigration status shouldn't stop them if we're here for, that we're here for everyone and that we're here for them.
With 3 minutes remaining, Senator Trustclair.
Senator Trostler, on campus, there's a lot of names listed at the end of the legislation. What's the rationale for sending this legislation to the congressional representative senators as well as the governor of Texas?
I would say that they're public servants of everybody that they represent in Texas. They have constituents that may be documented individuals and that attend universities, maybe perhaps individually. And so, like we mentioned, I think that Texas A&M has a large voice. The student body has a large voice. That's why we have a student government association, so that we could use it and utilize it and send a message to our congressional representatives and our public servants. And, really the people who are the backbone of our democracy, that the Texas A&M community stands with the people in Texas. Like we mentioned that there are 700,000 documented individuals and that there are 100,000 of them in Texas. They are all over Texas, and these people represent them. And like I said, sending a message to them that Texas A&M supports them is what we want to do.
2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. It's Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, thank you. So has the university, the system, or any high-level administrators expressed kind of the university or system policy towards DACA or the issue of undocumented immigrants in the system?
We can't speak on behalf of the administration, but we can say
to the
that.
best of your knowledge,
Please don't go back and forth.
That, can I give a portion to actually finish it, because I kind of know.
Go ahead.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
Yeah, to the best of your knowledge, has either the university or the system or a high-level administrator expressed an opinion? I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of them, I'm asking you if there is an existing system or university policy towards undocumented immigrants.
Minute and a half.
Through
I have to pause you real quick. Yes.
Director East Legislative Affairs, I'm going to extend the period question and answer by 7 minutes.
Same number of seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 7 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Please continue.
I would say that in this past semester, through a conversation that we had with administrators at the university, I don't feel comfortable saying who, but I have heard you express from the administrators that they have been in conversation with other universities too. And I'm not sure if they actually did, but they wanted to sign on to a letter that multiple administrations from different universities in the state of Texas would sign on to in advance of the Supreme Court hearings and like that, and imploring them to really consider the implications that it would have on students that are attending these universities. I'm not sure.
Pro Tem Paul.
Speaker Pro Tem Paul, now addressing, after this whole presentation, I've listened, but I think you failed. It's the core question of why should an institution of higher education support, regardless of supporting Aggies, regardless of supporting our fellow community members, which I think is great, why should we support particular activity?
So I'd say that the students that are attending their universities are paying tuition, have been in this country for the majority of their lives. Documented individuals obviously have to be in the country and have to be of a certain age for a certain period of time. So it's not like they, came into this country and enrolled in university. I believe that many DACA students consider themselves Americans, and like I said, they're paying tuition.
We should have back and forth.
Go ahead.
I think you're misunderstanding my question though. Not DACA and not other immigration limbo. People in immigration limbo. I'm talking about people who came here illegally. Why should it mentions in this document to support them as well. I do think they are members of the community and they are very valid members of the community. But why should you ask an institution of higher education and a body of higher learning such as myself to support illegal activity?
Can I ask you questions?
Go ahead.
How does supporting the resolution, I can't connect the dots, but maybe you can for me. How does supporting this resolution also support criminal court activity or unauthorized persons from coming to you?
It states in the document that passing this resolution, let it therefore be enacted would support illegal immigration, people here in the country illegally.
So it's standing with those who are already here, who have been here for a number of years. Not necessarily to say that we promote the activity, but more so on the lines of that we're standing with them, that they currently reside in the United States of America. Unfortunately, they are not considered citizens because of their immigration statuses, whether or not they're in limbo, whether they're documented, whether they have no protections at all, that we're still standing with them. Like you said, they're valid members of the community. They're counted when it comes to the U.S. Census. They're counted when it comes to student enrollment, retention rates, and things like that. As like Provost Ricky said, a lot of them are first generation. So it's supporting them in their wanting to pursue the American dream, to pursue higher education, to pursue the betterment of their community. Not necessarily, we're not saying that we support illegal activity, as you said, but that we're here to support them, that they're already they already reside in the United States of America, and they reside in Texas. So like we recognize that they are here, that they are members of our communities at home, that they're members of the communities of universities, they're members of our communities, they're members of our Aggie community. So we recognize that, and we're here to stand in solidarity with them as they pursue higher education, as they are allowed to.
I'll put you back at the end. With 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, Senator Feldman.
Senator Feldman, off-campus caucus. So I'm going to push back a little bit on what we discussed previously about me already should know about me my prior experience with my constituents and being able to know what they think. I don't understand how you could think that when this is such a specific issue. I feel like I can speak for all senators here when I say that we want to do the best to represent our constituents. And when we're given this an open session without a lot of time to actually go over it with them, I don't feel like there's a good way for me to gauge what's actually going on with my constituents. And then I'm also going to ask a second, so I'd ask you specifically why do you think that I should already know and why should I make this rash decision? And then I'm going to ask why do you think Texas A&M Student Senate should be directing Congress on what legislation to pass. Because I feel like, again, we are the Texas A&M Student Senate. Actually, in here it says Texas A&M Student Senate recognizes that to fully address this issue, we urge that the United States Congress pass meaningful legislation that will address the legal issues. Why are we directing the United States Congress's Texas A&M Student Senate to do anything?
To that, I'd say that to that last question, that we ourselves are constituents, and that we have a legislative, we have a blanking on the name, but we have a committee that has connections and speaks to legislators on a constant basis, and so that we do have an avenue to reach out to these representatives and voice our concerns our concerns because we have constituents in our caucuses that are concerned about this issue. And so I'd say that we do have a direct responsibility to represent them because we have an avenue to reach out to these representatives. And, to your first question, I have permission to back and forth asking the question.
Briefly.
You mentioned speaking to your constituency and really gauging how they would feel about this issue. I am the president of an organization on campus that represents or that advocates for the immigrant community, and I would want to ask you, through processing this legislation, if we do end up
2 minutes remaining.
discussing it at a later time, would you be open to attending a meeting for my organization?
To pause you real quickly. Just your motion.
Senator Morgan, college education. I move we exhaust the speakers.
Okay. Seeing number of seconds. All in favor of exhausting the speakers list, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Please continue.
To invite you to our organization is really gauge what the issues are in our community.
I would definitely be open to it. I see no problem in that. I'd love to hear what all the constituents are saying, because like I said, that's what we're here to do. We want to represent everyone. That's I think the most important part about what we're here to do is we're not representing just our views, we're representing everyone's views. So I think that's the most important thing about being in the Student Senate. So I would totally be open to going to one of your events and speaking to your constituents and your members and gauging what you guys think on this issue. Totally.
And just to further answer your first question, I believe that everybody in this room ran for their position in the Student Senate for a reason. And before this, like you mentioned, you ran knowing what you wanted to represent and what constituents concerns that you heard. And so, that's what I would say is that really we had an extensive opportunity to really reach out to our communities about this issue and about multiple issues.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Chair Rodriguez, Legislative Affairs. Would y'all be open to the idea, and I know there's a lot of people in here that participate a great deal to the authoring of this resolution. Would y'all be open to the idea of potentially redrafting this? So the wording that seems controversial is clearly stating towards the idea of supporting Aggies, not so much the national politics, the national policies that are being done, or whatever else it may be. Would y'all be open to the idea of rewriting this? This resolution specifically states that we're supporting Aggies regardless of any identifiers that state or national government may put on them.
With that, the problem that I see with that is, like I mentioned, the people who did not qualify for DACA, who are not presently at this institution, are we sending the message that we wouldn't want them to attend this university and really advance their careers and their aspirations? And so that, like Justin has mentioned, that is the rationale behind using that language, because we believe that this extends outside of the students who are currently here, and also the students who are not qualified under DACA. And so just as an open invitation to them that they are welcome at this university. That is the rationale behind
Another thing, we've actually run this resolution with some members of the higher admin to make sure we weren't crossing anything we shouldn't be crossing anything. I think.
Oh, yeah, we ran this resolution through some members of higher administration to make sure that our resolution wasn't, controversial, that, what we were saying is that we're with the, Aggie community, the undocumented Aggie community, and also that, whether we like it or not, our Aggies are affected by the national decision, like, that's why we decided to put in that we urged Congress to pass legislation that's comprehensive, because there are students at Texas A&M who are going to be affected by the national decision, that whether or not you've been able to gauge the divisiveness of this, it's that at the end of the day, they'll be affected by the Supreme Court decision, and that we want them to know that there are current undocumented Aggies and that there are former undocumented Aggies who have already graduated, and we're still standing with them, that even though they are not protected under DACA, that we still stand with them, the current and the already graduated.
Briefly.
I just want to ask, are y'all able to share with us which higher administration individuals that you were able to speak and share this legislation with?
I'm not sure whether he or she might want to do that, so I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Pro Tem Poll.
Speaker Pro Tem Poll, regardless of the political connotations and divisive undertones of this document, the Texas A&M Student Senate doesn't normally delve into national political issues such as this. We have in the past briefly, but if we are going to support something like this, why should we endorse a document with so many factual errors?
Permission to, could you specifically, permission to, like, could you specifically say which factual errors?
There's several, I'll name a few.
Specific.
For one, the Trump administration did not exist, September 5th, 2016. Two, district courts do not issue litigation. And there are several other misnomers within the reading. It seems hastily prepared. And if we were to approve this, I wouldn't want to send this to anyone on that list with the amount of factual errors and grammatical errors.
A lot of, to the point of the factual errors, a lot of the research was done off of the Homeland Security's website. So at us.homelandsecurity.gov, that's where a lot of these statistics, a lot of these numbers, a lot of these dates, the descriptions were pulled from, just to make sure we were as accurate as we could be. So those are.
Go ahead.
Regardless of that, I do think it's our responsibility to ensure that a document sent out with our name on it, our logo on it, is as factually correct as possible. Regardless of the source or where we pulled it from, we should be doing our due diligence.
I'd be open to amendments if you have them now.
I do not have any amendments right now that would be worth our time, but I think this document needs to be revised significantly. And I'd be open to talking about it later, but currently not this meeting.
And finally, Senator Trustclair.
Senator Trostler on campus. Permission to address
Briefly.
A lot of names were listed on this legislation. Senator John Rodriguez, Chairman Rodriguez, is head of the Legislative Relations Committee. And Rufo, you are as well, as am I. We oftentimes deal with elected officials with very different political backgrounds. The state of Texas, we ultimately deal with a lot of Republicans in Texas. My concern is, what are you prepared and do you understand the possible consequences of sending this type of legislation that they may view very polarizing to this body and to that committee?
Permission to ask a question.
Briefly.
Can you repeat that last part? I don't know if I understand it.
Sure. Once you want me to recall follow-up question?
No, just the last part.
Just the last part? Sure. Do you understand the consequences of this legislation, being very polarizing as it is, going to those members and the effects that might have on the committee that you and I both serve on?
Yeah, I would say that they,
Yeah, I'd like to hear from some of the work please.
I don't necessarily understand the question all too much. I would feel more a little comfortable if Senator Rivera could answer how he planned, or how he was going to. But the consequences to an extent is, I joined Student Senate to represent my constituents and like the people who I know, and I joined legislative affairs and in that same suit to represent my constituents. And whenever we do have the opportunity to speak with these people in governments and in Congress, it's my spot or it's my like role as a senator to represent those people that I ran to represent. And so it would be the same as if they were in this room and they asked a question and I answered it not only on behalf of my ideas and where I come from, but also the ideas of the people that I aim to represent as a senator, as a liberal arts senator.
Permission for back and forth.
No.
Thank you.
And with that, that will conclude the speakers list, and that ends our period of question and answer. Do I see a motion? No. We'll now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. If you guys could all step off the floor, please. Yes, we'll begin with Chair Banks. Do I see a motion?
Chair Newman, Finance, due to the polarizing nature and install preparedness of install preparation of this resolution, I move that this resolution be postponed indefinitely.
Seeing a number of seconds. Seeing a number of seconds. All in favor of postponing? This is a debatable motion. So all in, we'll start with debate against for the motion that Chair Newman posed to table this indefinitely. Do I need to debate against the motion to table indefinitely? To postpone indefinitely. Debate against the, yes, Chair Rodriguez.
Point of information.
Please state your point. If you rise, state your name.
Senators calls off-campus caucus. So during the time that it is, if it is postponed, would it be then like open to the public and we'd be given time to read through it, or would it be sent to a committee, or like, is there a certain date? Like, I just want to like the actual process.
Right. So if it's postponed indefinitely, there is no date to bring it back. You can postpone it a number of ways, to the next meeting, to a specific meeting, but it's indefinitely meaning that unless brought forward manually again, it will stay off of the agenda.
And it will still be like on the like drive so people can look back at.
Yes, so it still will be in at least the open session folder because it was presented, and it will get 7235 as the name of the piece of legislation. It's then up to either the same authors or a different pair of authors to choose to bring it back up or to not. Sure. To the floor.
What? Sorry, Tim, kind of tardy. Your boss.
The state your name and caucus.
John.
Yes, please state your point.
Is it true that we need a time?
We've suspended the rules for this.
Oh,
yes. Thank you. Go ahead.
John Rodriguez, Chair Legislative Relations and part of the College of Agricultural and Life Science Caucus. Howdy, Senate.
Hey.
I think it's fair to say that assumptions can be made about where I may be standing on this resolution. But I think I'll safe to say that if you look at my record here in this room, I'm one to believe that we're not red, blue minded in this room, but more so on top of all that, we're maroon minded. Before we look at anything else, we gotta make sure that we're addressing the needs and the issues facing Texas A&M Aggies. whether they're former, current, or future students. And I will say, looking at the architects that drafted this resolution, as well as those standing on the sides, giving their support, is something of serious cause or nature that you'll take considerably to be important. I'm friends with plenty of people in the room. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm friends with those who are staying in support of this resolution. I'm friends with those staying against this resolution. And it's because of that, and I know that the terminology in motion right now was to suspend it indefinitely. I see potential with this, but I also see flaw in this resolution. It's important to see that there is definitely great intention about where this resolution is headed, where it needs to be. But at the same token, on the other side of the coin, we gotta identify that yes, the intention's there, but the action taken thus far needs some amending. I'm well open to the idea of making sure that this resolution gets looked at thoroughly, that all the voices, whether it's for or against, can talk about this openly and constructively, not derogatorily or anything related to that. And so because of that, I'm open to the idea of not suspending this indefinitely, but ultimately to have all the different viewpoints talk to it or talk further into this, just so we can get a piece of legislation that staying in student senate can ultimately say, yes, we are constructive, that we're beneficial, that we're proactive, and we take matters that affect the students seriously. I've talked to a couple senators already while this resolution was being presented, the idea of sending it to the committee, so that the committee can spend some more time on that. I know the opinion that I expressed earlier was that we got this a couple of days ago, and it's one of those hot topic issue items that's being presented right now at the national, state, and local stages. 1 minute, thank you. And because of that, I believe it's only adequate that we spend enough time, sufficient time, on this piece of legislation. And it's not to put into doubt that whatever work was put into here was negative, or it's for terrible reasoning or intention. More so, it's that whatever was put into this is going to be of use. It's going to be productive. It's going to be one that all of us in this room can be happy about, regardless of the outcome. Knowing that all of us put our minds together, to make sure that this resolution does something for students as well as the general culture of our university. And with that, I yield my time to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. And with that, we'll move into a period of debate for this resolution. Do you have any debate for?
Point of order.
Yes, please state your point.
Senator Moore, talking about education. We were talking about the motion to postpone.
Correct.
You stated the resolution.
Excuse me. We're now moving to debate for the motion to postpone indefinitely. Do I have any debate for the motion posed by Chair Newman? Okay. Seeing none, debate is one-sided and the period of debate has now closed for the motion to postpone indefinitely. We'll now begin a period of voting on the motion by Chair Newman. All in favor of postponing indefinitely, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Division has been called. All against, please rise. All against postponing indefinitely, please rise. Okay, please be seated. All in favor of postponing indefinitely, please rise. You're going to speak, Stanley? Yes. Okay, please be seated. The clear majority, and that passes. Excuse me, that fails. We had 23 to against and 13 for, and with that, the motion proposed by Chair Newman fails, and we will recognize Chair Banks in debate against the original resolution.
Hold your motion, guys. Thank you. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Where's Carlo? Is he still in? Oh, there. Good to see you again, Carlo. 77. All right. So first off, I'd like to express a lot of gratitude to everybody who showed up tonight. if everybody at the university cared about attendance as much as y'all do, we would without a doubt attend the best university in the world. And I am very grateful to y'all for that. I myself am torn on this resolution. On one hand, I am a Texan, well, not a Texan, but go on. I am an American. Gonna change soon, but I am an American, and as such, I do believe in the rule of law and enforcement thereof. On the other hand, I am an Aggie, and as such, I feel for all the Aggies put in a tough spot by this and many other issues. And I do believe that there are a lot of Aggies and a lot of people who live in this country who have really been let down by a horrible and broken immigration system. As such, for many of the reasons pointed out tonight, for factual errors, for just the consequence of this resolution, for the fact that this was presented in open session and a lot of senators have not had a lot of time to look at this. I myself was only, this only brought my attention tonight. Could you please scroll down to page 5, if you would? This is a lot of legislators, and we have a committee, a legislative relations committee, whose one job is to work with all of the people on this list and more. This is such a, I believe, big and consequential resolution that I believe that committee should have a chance to look at this and go through this with a fine-tooth comb before producing something for us to look at on the floor. So I believe that it's best for those for this resolution, those against this resolution, and those who are as yet undecided. And therefore, I believe best for the Aggies who would be affected by this, and for all Aggies, that we refer this to John Brown's committee. Therefore, I move to refer this resolution to the Legislative Relations Committee.
Seeing a number of seconds. Okay. Seeing a number of seconds. The motion proposed by Chair Banks to move it to Legislative Relations Committee is also debatable. We begin with debate against this motion. Do we have any debate against Chair Banks' motion? Yes, Chair Spur. Please state your point. Yes, you can make an amendment.
No, it's not an amendment.
On the parliamentary inquiry,
Yes, please state your point.
how many committees can a piece of legislation be sent to? Thank you.
Okay. So seeing as the code specifically outlines solely one, that amendment would be out of order, so we'll leave it at that. Okay. And with that, Chair Spur, you still have the floor and debate against this amendment by Chair Banks. Okay, the floor has been yielded to and debate against. We'll now move into a period of debate for Chair Banks's amendment to send this to the Legislative Relations Commission. Do you have any debate for this amendment? Yes, Chair Rodriguez.
Hi, Senate.
Howdy.
Won't make this as long as my last spiel up here. I know people are standing, they want to get some rest from get off their feet. So I'm just gonna second what I said earlier, and that is there's potential in this. There's definitely a flaw, but there's potential. So looking into this further, I was mentioned by several senators sitting here, I think it would prove to be advantageous for those in this room as well as those outside that room. So with that being said, I yield my time to Pro Tem Holt.
You have 2 minutes.
Speaker Pro Tempore Cole, although as many of y'all know that I'm not for this resolution, I think it's political. I think it's something that we don't usually delve into here in the Senate. I've been here for 4 years. It's just not something that we're equipped to handle. I don't honestly think that giving the task to a legislative committee or group of us to go to these congressmen and effectively advocate to all of them on behalf of the student senate and the student body would make any sense. As currently written, I would not support this resolution. It's too wordy. It's got way too much going on. There's multiple issues in the text, as I've said before. And lastly, I just think it's against the spirit of this body. I don't think that we're designed to handle things like this. We should be focusing on the students, we should be focusing. And yes, there is a component that does focus on supporting Aggies, and I'm all for that. I've devoted quite literally my whole academic career here, extracurricular career here at this academic institution to serving others. It's evident in what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
30 seconds.
But in short, I think we're designed for it. If it has to go to the Legislative Relations Committee, I think that's the best possible option. I would rather it not pass, but I'll work with whatever. Thank you.
Yield to the floor.
Yield to.
Senator
the
Feldman?
Ms. Clacker.
The floor has been yielded to you with 10 seconds remaining.
Okay.
Time starts when you say howdy.
Howdy, Senator Feldman, Off-Campus Caucus. I am also part of the Legislative Relations Committee, and I'd say that this would be a great place for us to actually look into the bill. We can talk to constituents.
Please finish your sentence.
Accurately get a good reading on it and make it better to present.
That now concludes the period of debate 4. We'll move back into a period of debate against Chair Banks' resolution. Yes, Senator Rivera.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Senator Rivera, off campus. I believe that we have this room until 11 o'clock. So we have an hour, 20 minutes. I don't see any reason for why we can't make any proper amendments tonight. I implore you and I ask you all to really bring the points that you have up for consideration for amendment now. Is that a motion I can make now or after this?
I believe we are currently debating a current motion. We'll have to vote on this motion and then allow you to debate against due to the meta motion.
So yeah, I would like to implore you all to consider what this is in the open session folder. Look over it and see what issues you have with the legislation and to propose any amendments that we can all come together and make. Because we do have plenty of time to consider this. And I yield much for Senator.
Senator Butterfield, Liberal Arts Caucus. Howdy.
Howdy.
Like Senator Rivera just said, it is an open session folder. Anyone with their TAMU email and access to the Senate Drive, they can edit this document. I can open it up so that you can directly edit it. But right now, you can comment on it if there's something that you see that's wrong. I just want you to know that before this was brought to open session, it was open to 30 plus people.
1 minute remaining.
So the issues that you have unfortunately escaped those senators and those people who had access to this document, but
please stay in order.
Now that you have looked over it and there are some edits you'd like to make, I implore you to make them now. Like Senator Rivera said, we have time so that we can go over this. I think it's pertinent that we pass it today or we talk about it today, just because we're going to go on break and those many students who their future stands in the balance are going to go home with that mentality. And I just want them to know that the Student Senate is with them in that capacity, that we're Aggies and we're here to stand with them.
Senator Rufo, do you yield the floor with 9 seconds remaining?
Wait, do that.
You can finish with 9 seconds remaining or yield to somebody else or the floor.
Oh, I yield to the floor.
Okay, the floor has been yielded to. That now concludes the debate against period. Move back into a period of debate 4, starting with Chair Rodriguez. The 2.5 minutes starting with Howdy.
Hi, Sam.
I'm going to pause you really quick, Chair Rodriguez. Yes, that's the motion.
I'll move the previous question.
in a number of seconds. All in favor of moving to previous question and voting on this specific amendment by Chair Banks, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
That passes. And with that, we will now go back to motion to previous question means we suspend the rest of the period of debate and vote. Yes, correct. And with that, we'll vote on Chair Banks's amendment motion to put this into the Legislative Relations Committee. And with that, we're going to period of voting. Yes, do I see a motion?
On the parliamentary inquiry work, should we refer this to the committee? It will be brought up again to be considered, possibly steps, correct?
If it's referred to committee, it is up to the committee to vote to bring it back. And once it's received in my inbox, we put on the agenda.
Thank you.
Yes. So with that, we'll move into a period of voting on Chair Banks' amendment to send this to the Legislative Relations Committee, and we'll vote by voice. All in favor of passing the amendment proposed by Chair Banks, please say aye.
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Division. Division has been called. All motion.
This is a, for the roll, this is a valid motion. I'd like to ask a ballot vote taken into consideration.
For the motion.
The motion to send it to the committee.
Seeing as the vote has already taken place and we voted, the motion for ballot vote would have been valid had it been done prior to the voice vote. So we'll stay with the division call. So all against passing Chair Banks' motion to send to the committee, please rise. All opposed to sending it to committee, rise.
Are we opposed?
If you're opposed to sending it to committee, stand now. Please be seated. All in favor of sending it to the Legislative Relations Commission and passing Chair Banks' motion, please rise. I believe the code was changed to reflect its legislative relations now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Seeing that 22 is majority, Chair Banks' motion to refer it to committee passes. This bill or this resolution will go to the Legislative Relations Committee. With that, we are still in a period of open session. And do we have any further pieces of legislation for open session? Okay. Seeing none, that will conclude the period of open session. And with that, we'll move into a period of special presentation by recognizing the Constituency Affairs Chair, Hannah Spur, to give updates on the Ag Input Semester responses. As Chair Spur comes down to the floor for a little bit of context, this is a piece of the code that in the past hasn't been followed, but the Constituency Affairs Chair by code is supposed to give an update semesterly on any ag input updates that we've had. So Chair Spur, you have the floor, starting at Howdy.
Hi, guys.
Howdy.
I apologize for seeing looking around. I think my side, they're in the back. So if I'm like standing up slowly or I'm forgetting what I'm saying, I'm not on me. But I appreciate your energy. I know this has been a long night. This is extremely important. This is what I do. It's about 30 hours a week for. So I want to make sure that y'all are aware of all the work that my committee's put in for this semester. It is part of the code for me to do this, but I found that it was really important. I've sent y'all some stuff, but I don't usually hear back from anybody. So I'm here in front of you, sharing it with you. Just know throughout this, like, remember your questions, like, the question you can, but you can scroll down. So the first thing I want to explain a little bit what ag input is. It's a part of the code for constituency affairs. Basically says that we have to have some means of hearing constituent opinion. And so that was something that hadn't really been done in the past, and so that's something I kind of took and run with. So we developed a system that gives out a monthly report to all our student organizations And there's a Google form that goes out with a question, and then there's a newsletter that goes out so that not only are we receiving their opinion, but they're receiving what we're doing so that we both sides hold each other accountable. So I'm going to go through and talk about our October and November form and newsletter, and then our December newsletter, because we're not going to do a question in December just because we're only here for so long, and I don't want to bother people that much. So October ag input, our question was, what is your opinion of health on Texas A&M's campus and how can we make improvements? We had 25 responses for that. Our main themes, we had 5 main themes that most of our responses went around. We had sick days, mental health, healthy eating, physical health, and health services. And then if you go down the next page, so when we send out our Google form, it asks the question, like the themes, so that we can craft useful legislation, but it also asks for the individual person that submitted the form's information so that we know who we're representing and who's providing us information. So these are all the organizations that were represented in those 25 responses. Fish Camp, One Army Flip, you can read them, I'm not going to read them all out loud. Some of the more notable ones that you all might know, Delta Zeta, LGBTQ Aggies, GLBT. We actually have the GLBT Resource Center has partnered with my committee, and the Women's Resource Center. They put our ag input out in their newsletters as well as the SGA newsletters. But that's kind of the list of the people that contacted us for October ag input on our Google form. So with those 5 main topics, these were the main things that were said. Y'all all have access, you should have access, I'm going to make sure it's in the drive, to the Excel sheet or the Google sheet with all of their responses and who said what and their contact information. If it's somebody that you represent by your caucus and you feel that you want to reach out and you want to help answer those questions, you're more than welcome. But these were kind of the main things that were discussed. The sick days, someone brought up that there's a need for reform for contagious sick students attending class because other students don't want to get sick. The largest topic we saw input on was mental health. There's a need for more resources, a concern for the amount of students struggling, especially with depression. And then campus could do a better job of handling mental health issues and helping students with them. We also had people bring forward opinion on healthy eating on campus, more vegetarian, vegan, and allergen options on campus. I'm personally allergic to gluten, so I would definitely agree that that's something we could look into. Physical health, I didn't finish typing the sentence. Promotion for physical health on campus, apparently, according to someone, was the fittest campus on the nation. So they wanted to see if we could do more promotion for like a weightlifting competition. That was proposed. If you want a good laugh, read through some of these because sometimes people have some really good opinions and they sometimes they're great. And then health services, a lot of concerns about feudal, not enough physicians, pricing, things like that. And then we had our newsletter as well. So our newsletter was about 10 to 12 pages. And it's all formatted just like these slides. This is the template that I use for all of my constituency affairs meetings, for all of our newsletters, and for anything else Senate related for constituency affairs. So if you see this, it was constituency affairs related. We featured the Cushing Traditions exhibit through the library systems. They reached out to us, had a meeting with myself and Natalie Parks, the SGA communications person, and basically wanted to partner with us so that they could get their information out, and if we ever need anything put out by the libraries from Senate. So we featured their traditions exhibit on the front cover, and then we went into every newsletter is kind of formatted in the same structure, but it starts with the past legislation, so it's the September updates, even though it was set in October because it's what we did in September. So it features all the past legislation from the month of September. It tells the name of the resolution, bill, act that was passed, the subtitle, all the authors, and all the sponsors. Then we did IA introduction, so all of our lovely IA had a feature on this and had their email put at the bottom, so if anybody needed to reach out to us, they could. Then we had a page with all of our senators for the month of September on the next one. Then we had events. We talked about the event with Representative John Ramey, John Ryan's kind of it. I don't know. We also talked about SGA Talks Traffic and the things that were discussed there. Then we had that Cushing exhibit portion and a note from the libraries about the Cushing exhibit, and then a page on our social media, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, and the websites for both SGA and Senate. We have since then obtained an Instagram that was supposed to go out on Monday. I have a pinch side after, so we're getting there. It will go live by the end of this week. Then for November ag input, so that was all October. I'm moving to November. These go out, by the way, on like a mail merger. So I sit on my computer and I have like 1,000 words and emails, and it basically fills everything in. And I can send 300 at a time, and I can sit there and make sure they all send. But I don't have to type them all. I just type the one and then it inserts their names, which is super effective because I'm super big on communication. I believe it's really important. So we make sure that every email is personalized to every organization it goes to, which was a big deal for me. So we were able to do that without me having to personally type every email. So November ag input, we talked about transportation just because it is such a big portion of my People Let's campaign. So we said, what is your opinion of transportation both on and off Texas A&M's campus? This can include, but is not limited to, buses, bike share, parking, motorcycles, trains, traffic, and pedestrian crosswalks. So far, we have 23 responses on these, and these links never close. So if anybody has an opinion about health in February, you're more than welcome to go back to the link and add to it. I do check them every morning when I wake up. But our 23 responses had 6 main themes, including parking, buses, pedestrians, traffic, train, and bikes, pretty much the things that we highlighted for them. The reason we gave this question more structure is because some people in the October ag input did complain that the question was too vague. And then the next page talks about organizations represented. We had a plethora of organizations for this as well. Some of the ones y'all might know or are involved in. I know we have a lot of Coles Council people in here. We have a few people from Coles Council respond. Texas A&M Yell Leaders, Carson Lowe has been working with me to kind of partner with the Yell Leaders and Senate. He caught me at a coffee shop the other day and talked to me for like 20 minutes about constituency affairs. So just know that what we're doing in this room is recognized by other students and is seen by other student leaders on campus. And then you can go, yeah. So the themes, I said there were 6 themes. We're going to go through and give you the briefest explanation of what was said. And as I stated earlier, you do have access to the Google Sheets to read every individual response if you wish to. So parking, motorcycle parking, but especially by Zach, I think that's the most common thing that I have heard between going to both SGA Traffic Talks and through constituency affairs. This seems to be a major issue. Parking is limited. Night parking and ticketing night parking. I know this is a problem in Lot 72. I'm not personally a business student, but I know that people have complained about it. It used to be a night lot, now it's not a night lot, and they're getting ticketed. More temporary parking. They took away all those 30-minute parking spots over by the MSC. I don't know if anyone's as old as I am, but I've been here for a few years. We used to have parking over by the MSC. Now we don't, which is difficult. Like if you have meal swipes, which you live off campus, you want to stop in, grab Panda, and then parking lot assignments. People complained that they weren't getting the parking lot assignment that they wanted.
5 minutes.
Thank you. And then buses, covered seating for stops, frequency, and they tend to run late. Not enough coverage to Bryan, too much exhaust. Someone complained that they were handling too much of the bus exhaust. Poor condition, and then the need for more routes. And then the last 4, pedestrians, the crosswalks are not lit well on West Campus. Someone particularly brought up that crosswalk from AGLS to Lot 100. I don't know if anyone's walked that at night, that's scary. Or driven it at night. I can't see very well at night, so I always slow really far down to that one. Traffic, need for synchronized traffic lights, thought that was really interesting. Traffic relief, and then cracks and busy roads are dangerous, such as the intersection at George Bush and Wellborn where the road is warped. The train has no civilian stop. Someone asked if you were ever going to have the train going to like Austin or Houston for civilians. I don't know if that's in the works, but it brought boards to our attention. And then for bikes, more bike lanes. Bike share program is neglected and out of control. With the recent events of this week, I think that could be seconded. Bike racks, and then need for places to bike. I don't necessarily understand the nature of that, but they basically said that they wanted more places on campus where they could bike. And then our newsletter, they featured our Senate-wide photo that we took back on, I think it was the 16th of October. And then all of our past legislation from the month of October. It had a list of our updated senators for the month of October, so after people absence out, we do remove them from that list. And then it introduced all, at the time, 9 of our caucus leaders. And then we went into our committee updates, so we had a picture from the Halloween Senate meeting. We had a constituency affairs update that basically just updated people to say we were working towards October ag input. Academic affairs had a piece in there. And then we had updates and events. We had the core values ad hoc committee reward with the October recipient with a link to the nomination form. And then we had to keep going because I ran out of room. I didn't want to make the first one. We also featured the disability subcommission, cookies and coffee with SVP Gillette that happens bi-weekly. The Sky Tammy Retreat, SGA Communication, and then thank you from myself on behalf of my committee for all the responses we received from October. And then quickly I'll talk about our December ag input plans. Like I said earlier, there's no question, it's just a newsletter. It'll feature the past legislation from November, Senate Spotlight. So we picked, my committee voted on and picked 6 senators that we felt were active in the Senate room and represented all 6 core values of our campus. And those people would be Bridget Frank, Dang Dang, Hannah Hardison, Hunter Martin, Sam Jeffers, and Zach McKee. We also chose to recognize the chair of the month, which was Suyash Gupta. So those individuals will be featured in this newsletter and on our social media as well. And then we will have the updated list from tonight's meeting with all of our senators, excluding the ones that have absent out, and then updates and events with the core values ad hoc committee award with the November recipients we are awarded tonight. So the last thing here, these are all the links. I encourage you to take a picture of it if you want to look at it. I've sent it in emails, but emails do get lost. If you want to take a look at all the work that we've done this semester, that's there for you. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
Thank you. And we will begin by recognizing Senator Pauls.
Senator Pauls off-campus talking. So first, I just want to say, like, you've been doing a great job. Like, just shared and then totally just basically what my question was how can somebody basically offer a subject for a month?
Yeah, absolutely. So my committee meetings are open. They're every other Wednesday night at either 7 or 8, depending on who has the room. We're in Columns 146 or right across the hall. Anybody is welcome, but we have somewhat talked about what we're doing in the spring. We haven't necessarily completed and voted on those topics yet. We have talked as a possibility January discussing resources on campus because it's a problem that's been brought up multiple times within this. And then we also talked about recognizing Matthew Gaines in February. But past that, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to bring them to me, especially with the legislation that's brought forward tonight. We want to make sure we're hearing every opinion. Whoever it is, we want to be able to hear that opinion. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Senator Trustclair.
Thank you, Senator Trostler, home Kathy's. My question is about the bike share programs, about how some students neglect. What ways would you recommend or would you propose that we also reach out to the student body and remind them to not put bikes on top of buildings, places they should be, where they can be a safety hazard to people's life and property, and people getting hurt?
So we actually talked a little bit about this last night in our BPSA dinner with Dr. Pugh. We are actively working towards a solution as student leaders, along with Dr. Pugh, to find a solution to say that so that we're being safer with where we're putting bikes. But I don't have a solution at this.
Senator Matt.
Sacramento on campus caucus. So one thing you mentioned was about how like some areas on campus are very dimly lit. And so I was gonna say like, is there something we think about that? Cause that was something I was thinking about last year. If there's a way we could like talk to school and administration, or if there's a possibility or something, we could like increase like lights on campus, and like since you got like input from students about specific areas, is that something we can do, like we have the power to do in Senate, to go through administration to make that happen?
I am definitely open to finding out who we need to meet with and sitting down with them. I don't necessarily know if it's something we can write legislation for. I have to go through the code. But I definitely think that's a meeting worth having. I've had a lot of meetings with people concerning all of this. I have meetings every week, but if we want to go and investigate that, and that's the other thing I didn't really get a chance to say, is if there was an issue mentioned that like you're passionate about, like reach out to me. We will investigate it together. Ag input is for you guys, not for me to sit and do at 2 a.m. It's for you guys to write legislation about, see what your constituents are passionate about, so that we can come together in the Senate and represent the people who voted for us. So absolutely, if you want to go somewhere, we can figure out who it is, we can meet with them. If it's something that we can handle in this room, then I'm 100% here for it.
It's a minute and a half remaining. Chair Banks.
Chair Banks, acting on chairs. Chair Spur, you sleep.
I haven't pulled an all-nighter since the 16th of October, but I don't sleep much. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
With a minute and 15 seconds remaining, Senator Trustclair.
Thank you, Senator Oscar on campus. This looks like it was a lot of work. I just want to give gratitude from everyone else to you for putting all this time.
A minute remaining. Do we have, yes, Senator Ramirez?
The PDF for the newsletters. If you scroll back up, those links right there, and they all have the text tags on them, the link shortener. If you want to take a picture of it, I can send you an email as well. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a few printed copies sitting around, but absolutely, I'll get that to you.
And with 30 seconds remaining, do you have any further questions for Chair Spur? Okay. Sarah Smith, with 25 seconds.
I want to ask like how many people have y'all been getting like for each one, like what's like the amount of people that actually like.
Yeah, so we had 25 responses for October, 23 for November. As far as what the committee has answered, we've still been working on that. We were supposed to have email responses drafted last week.
Please finish your sentence.
Thanksgiving kind of ended that, but we are at the means of responding to them and bringing forward resolutions.
Thank you, Chair Spur. That concludes the special presentation. And with that, we will move into a period of committee reports, beginning with Pro Temple.
Speaker Pro Tem Roll. The ship is righted, everything is going well. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Chair Berger.
Chair Berger, Rules and Regulations. Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So no more rules and regs meetings for this semester. A huge thank you to the subcommittee for judicial nominations. That was especially those of you who helped out with drafting the report. I really appreciate it. And then thank you to the Senate body for confirming those individuals. I know that Jake Port's very appreciative of that. Having a full court is going to be a great opportunity for them. And then a reminder of Subco. And I definitely urge you to attend this evening. I will be there, and Tate will be there as my assistant chair, vice chair, unsure. And then in the spirit of Subco, I just want to remind y'all, let's not let any issues that occur here in 144. I know there's a lot of diverse topics that we discuss in this room, and sometimes it gets pretty heated. Let's not let that affect our relationships outside of this room. At the end of the day, we've heard it so many times today. At the end of the day, we're all Aggies, and I'd like to think that we're all here for the same purpose. And for that reason, I'd like to think that we're all going to be great friends in the end. And so I'd love to see everybody out at Subco tonight, and definitely engaging in the camaraderie and spirit that is being an Aggie and being a student senator. And then just to kind of close it out, hope everybody has a good break and happy holiday.
So, any questions for Chair Burger? Yes, Chair Spur.
Yes, but I do have to drive a friend home first. No, I can go to the
All right.
I also want to change plans.
Same question. Do you have a question?
No.
Oh, any further questions for Chair Burger? Seeing none, thank you. Chair Newman?
Chair Newman, Finance. I'm really excited for the upcoming semester. I'm really excited to work with the Finance Committee. Any members of the Finance Committee are here. Please come see me briefly after the meeting. Also, a shameless plug for the College Bag Life Sciences. Coles Council, we have an event at the Gardens on Saturday at 6 o'clock. It's free to also attend. We'll have Christmas cookies, hot chocolate. It's called Maroon and White, Merry and Bright, Maroon and White. Sorry. But anyways, we'd love for y'all to attend. It's at the Leach Teaching Gardens on West Campus on Saturday.
Yes. Chair Banks?
Chair Banks, Academic Affairs. So seeing as you were just confirmed, would you say that you're the Newman on the job?
Thank you for the question, and I would say yes.
Any further questions for Chair Newman? Seeing none, thank you. Chair Gupta?
Alright, how do you set it?
Howdy.
So only just one thing, be sure like when you're writing resolutions and bills, you do the correct formatting, including like in the headers on each page, like putting the right bill or resolution number, and making sure it goes to Ms. Parker on this. And aside from that, ops, we're gonna be having like a birthday on Friday, if you can make it. If anybody else wants to come, like feel free to text me, we have some stuff. Just kind of wrapping up the semester, sending out as much as we can, so we are all caught up before we start next year. And yeah, with that, that's all I have. We're about to enter the roaring 20s, so start off the year right. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and
Any questions for Chair Gupta? Seeing none, Chair Rodriguez?
Alright, howdy guys.
Howdy.
So I want to thank y'all for all the help and support and everything that was done over tonight. I just want to say I love you guys a lot. So thank you for supporting all Aggies. I definitely agree with leading the so don't ever forget that. Okay. And just a little committee report of what's been going on, what I've been doing today. I attended a differential tuition meeting with Dean Banks for engineering, and that went really well. She broke down everything that's been subdivided for the engineering school. Hopefully I can bring along some more senators with me. They love how we were able to represent the capacity that I've been to. So if you guys are ever interested in meeting with Dean of Engineering, she's really open to meet with us. So I'm so glad that doors are open. Also yesterday we got with pros. We got a lot of great updates, especially with the bikes. So some good news and some bad news. Also there might be live scooters. I don't know, we brought that to the push for that. We'll see where that goes. I know a lot of my friends have been saying they want that on campus, and we'll see where that goes. I'll keep you updated. And also Tate and I were invited to an anti-discrimination bystander project with Dr. Ms. Coleman. We don't know the date just yet when that will be happening, but hopefully when we get the dates, I can try and get more of us in there. I know that'd be great input, so we can help push for that as well. And I wanted to say, I hope you guys have a happy holidays. Stay safe. If you need anything, let me know. I'll probably be all around Texas, so I can go visit or something, you know. But if you ever need me, I'm always here. So if you have any questions, definitely let me know.
Any questions for Chair Rodriguez? Seeing none, thank you. Chair Banks?
Chair Banks, Academic Affairs. Howdy, everybody. So a few academic affairs updates for y'all. I attended essentially the steering council for online classes. I know that somebody brought that up to the provost. They were especially open to the idea of reducing online textbook costs and limiting like third-party online platforms that are used. So hopefully that just simplifies and cheapens online classes for students. If anybody has any questions about anything the provost mentioned tonight, feel free to let me know. Myself and Greg will force break down very easily. I'm currently scheduling a meeting with the dean of libraries, hopefully for next week. So if anybody wants something brought up to libraries, just let me know. There you go. So two people I was really in the spirit of doing shout outs after every meeting. Two people I was very impressed with tonight are Senator Feldman. I think he not only has done great work with the Port Ice Committee, but also made some very responsive things. And then our own Chair John Ryan Rodriguez here, I was out there when he was speaking to the folks who showed up later, and he handled that just extraordinarily well. So we have some great chairs, some great speakers in here, and just keep up the professionalism, good work, and last but not least, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Don't hear too much about me.
Any questions for Chair Banks? Seeing none, thank you. Chair Rodriguez?
Chair Rodriguez, Legislative Affairs. Hi, Sam.
Howdy.
Couple things. Do subjectively, so the first things first. I want to thank you all for a tremendous semester. I believe that this semester was the one that allowed all the committee chairs up here to get a good grasp of where we need to be. Welcome, our new Chair Newman. Congratulations on your new appointment. So all the graduating seniors of 2019, y'all did it. Congratulations. I can't wait to celebrate things they will do via social media. That'll be fantastic. I know a buddy of ours, Bubba Harris over here, is getting married pretty soon. So congratulations to him and his soon-to-be wife. Macy's a really great gal. When it comes to the holidays, I hope that y'all spend it wisely, but enjoy it thoroughly. I believe that holiday time is a great way to enjoy your friends, your family, your faith, things close to that nature. I know for the Christians in the room that I share similar faith with, just remember the reason for the season. Can't stress that enough. In addition to that, please be safe. Please be safe. We lost a couple of great guys recently, and so you can't help but feel that, maybe tomorrow will be me. Especially we don't want that to happen. Just remember, please be safe for those around you. You never know what's in your cup and what's in the field. In terms of legislative relations, it looks like we got some work ahead of us. The discussion that happened today, please, and it's something I shared earlier, something that I shared with those outside the room, don't feel defeated about what happened today. For anybody in this room. At the very beginning of legislative relations work this semester, one thing we talked about was finding the middle ground. We talked a great deal about not being blue or red, but red-minded, respecting the conversation, and sharing that. So those that are in legislative relations or care to come and visit those meetings, which is wildly open to anyone who wants to attend, please be mindful of that. That's something we take seriously in that room. Voice your opinion. So also remember this: you have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Be willing to listen and respect the opinions of those in the room next to you. Outside of that, can't say too much more. There's nothing more to report. I know it's a lot of opinion and thought, but that's everything for LR. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Chair Rodriguez? Yes. Senator Jeffers.
Senator Jeffers, engineering. When is your committee meeting?
So our committee meetings, how they've been forming this past semester, is every Wednesday following the Senate. So like this past Wednesday would have been one of them, just like that. We're going to look at, I need to get in contact with Speaker Mendoza about when the dates are for this coming semester. And once we have that tacked down, we've been in the conference room right over here. Based off the nature of what happened tonight, I'll probably look into getting a larger room, just because I feel there's plenty of people that want to come over and share their concerns and their thoughts about that piece of legislation. So once we have the facility locked down, I'll make sure to share that with everyone. But just expect them to be 7 p.m. on the opposite Wednesday of Senate. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, Chair Rodriguez, thank you.
Thank you all.
Spur.
Hi guys, I'm Chair Spur, Kitchen Spirits. I'm going to say something to this because it's still one not much to report. You guys got all the academic stuff. Just in kind of the same spirit of what John Ryan was saying. Remember your family and your friends for holidays. I know Thanksgiving break was really eye-opening for me, and to see how many people truly care and respect me and love me. I hope y'all got to feel that way too on Thanksgiving, and as we come into the holiday season, just remember to be thankful for people around you, as we did lose some ideas as well. Just remember the reason for the season. Be safe as well. Be careful, but have fun. Enjoy yourselves. You deserve a break. Finals, you deserve a break. For constituency affairs, we are putting up our Instagram very, very soon for the Senate. So we can have more marketing techniques that will help also for those of you that want to go for re-election. We're gonna try to get more name-based recognition out there so that when people go to vote, they recognize who you are. I just wrote a 15-page paper for research about voter recognition. It's a big deal. So just know that we're working on methods for y'all so people know who you are. So when we have constituent things and people have opinions that they want to share, maybe they don't know that item, but they can come to you, they know who you are. I'm sure people know who the chairs are, I'm sure people know who conferees are, but y'all are just important as well. So we want to make sure people know who you are so that they can reach out to you and contact you about concerns if they have them. If you have any suggestions for January, February, March, April, input, please reach out to me. If you're interested in coming to a committee and listening to us talk about what we're going to do with the opinions presented tonight, please feel free to come. Just like JR said, once we get the schedule in front of the Speaker Mendoza, JR and I usually are meetings at the same time, usually across the hall. So we do off Senate Wednesdays as well. But with that, I think I will go my time.
Do we see any questions for Chair Spur? Seeing none, thank you. That now concludes our period of committee reports, and we'll begin our period of executive reports, starting with Chief of Staff, Casey Joseph.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
I'm here on behalf of Student Body President Michael Gillette. He unfortunately thought that going to see the tree lighting in New York City was cooler than the Senate. I know. So just a little update, we will be releasing apps for the position of Vice President of Student Services. Our current Vice President, Jake Traylor, got a internship in New York City for the next semester. So we are sad to see him go, but excited to see him face on exec cabinet. We are reaching out to Zeo Rides to talk about the recent events that have occurred and working in conjunction with transportation services to kind of see how we can get the word out to students about how to properly treat Zeo Rides, and so that hopefully we can keep them on campus and not lose that great service for students. And then in addition, we are reaching out to all of the traffic groups to talk about the feedback from Traffic Talks 2.0 and looking forward to moving in the right direction with the information that we've gotten from that this semester. And excited to kind of look back and review all the work that we've gotten done in the past semester and make some more strides for the student body in the spring semester. So have a wonderful holiday and thanks for having me.
Yeah, do we have any questions for Chief of Staff?
All right.
Seeing none, thank you. I recognize Chief Justice Joe.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Howdy.
We have a full court. Howdy. It's been a long semester, and I mean, I can't even begin to express how much progress we've made on the court, and now that we have all responsible for the next semester as well. We have no one who's leading us. I think we're going to see much more difference in how everything's going. So we've had a lot of progress, and let's see what we're legislation. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for your time and your effort and being invested in this process. We know how hard it is for the court, but I cannot imagine how hard it is for all of y'all to handle this while handling all your other responsibilities as a senator and the other positions you hold. So thank you. We really do appreciate it. But I think that also points given how things have gone this semester, I think it's obvious that there's some issues in the process that need to be worked out. And I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of it now, but that's something to think about as we start the new year pretty soon. So thank you for your time, and we're excited. We had our first official mock case on November 20th, and it was incredible. And once again, my gratitude goes out to, we have such an incredible team
we've had great people on the court in this series, no less. We have wonderful Jags, we have wonderful justices, and now we're finally going to tap into all the genius. And so it's very, very exciting. And we're planning to build up and make these mock cases more experiential for the people who apply to this organization for very specific reasons. We want to tailor our organization to that, and we also want to make sure we're all prepared if something does happen. We know something does, and we stay close to our thing. We will be ready. Other than that, that's all I have. Have a great holiday. Want to point out there, add on to what Senator was saying earlier. Be safe, be careful for your loved ones, for everyone out there who's rooting for you. We all want everyone to have this. So this is a time that we can. So have a great holiday. Happy New Year. Be thankful, be grateful, and see you next week.
Do you have any questions for Chief Justice Chopra? Seeing none, thank you.
Howdy, sir. Before I begin, my notes, a few pieces that were mentioned. I think Joe was up here. One on the lighting, whether it's West Campus or any other part of campus. RHA has funds to do that on their dime, and they obviously have a lot of students that they have in their houses that live on campus that really have to have lighting. So if you have any specific areas of campus, a specific sidewalk where trees there's no light at all, the bulbs out, send that to myself, and I'll send it to the RHA president, who's doing or has done next week a golf cart tour of campus to figure out where they need to spend that money. So I'm happy to transfer that up to them, but we're also happy to have meetings about that as well. And then the bike share issue was touched a few times, but I also want to reiterate the severity of the situation. I think if you guys would like to see the bikes here next semester, and I think based on the usage rates, most people will want to see them back. There needs to be a severe change. I understand. I'm in the meme pages as well, and I love them, and I think if we get down to the nitty gritty of what the pages are supposed to do, it's supposed to bring people together for positivity, because we all have one commonality. We're Aggies, we want to have fun with it, and we want to love each other. But it's not supposed to be a detriment to student services, and it's not supposed to be a detriment to people in their everyday lives on campus. And if we let a meme page ruin a bike share system on campus, regardless of if scooters are coming or not, that's kind of a detriment. So let's be aware of that. And I'd love to see the bikes next semester, but we need your help with that. With the full court piece, that's huge. I hope you guys don't have to deal with it next semester if you choose to run again. But that's a big piece. We thank the Chief Justice for patience in the process, but also love to see that there's issues with the code, and that hopefully tonight was a start to changing that, but also working with J-Court to ensure that they have more of a say in their own timeline for how they're functioning. I think it's important coming forward. The Finance Committee now has a new chair. Congratulations, we're happy to have you on IA. But if we could have anyone interested in joining the committee, please say after, talk to Chair Newman or President Cole or myself. We have, I think, 2 vacancies on it. We'll need to be 3 vacancies on it. We'll need to be filled next semester. So we'd love to get interested parties on the committee. Other than that, it was mentioned a few times, but Senator Rivera is still in the room, as well as Rodriguez. We do thank people for engaging in the Senate and Rivera as well. And I think it's really good, just a sentiment to how this body functions, that we can sit in here very with level heads and have you say what you said, even though it was ultimately not the result that you wanted or anybody else, no matter what side you're on. There was no conclusion. But ultimately, I think that the fact that we could have a resolution like we did is a really good sign. So please engage with Chair Rodriguez if you have issues with it, so we don't have to do that again. Other than that, the semester schedule for next semester will be coming out by the end of the week. You're going to email me with a semester recap on what we've done, how many pieces of legislation we've had, as well as the entire schedule for the next semester beginning in January. So be on the lookout for that. Please clear your calendars. If you're planning on rerunning, be aware if it's your first session that once we get past elections, we will have meetings back to back to back to back if you're in both sessions. Just be aware of that. So plan accordingly. And other than that, I'll be working over winter break on a number of pieces, including fall break, and making sure that stays because of faculty senate ones. So if you guys are working on anything, I know a number of you are, whether it's Student 7 or different pieces, please engage with me. I'd love to make sure we stay consistent next semester and stay engaged. And then finally, I know I'm talking a lot, so I apologize, but the elections are coming up in February. So I want to remind you to keep whatever your intentions are personally out of this room. That's not what this room is for, regardless of if you want to stay in this room or not. But at the same time, I would love to remind you that I think it's important that we care about who's sitting next to us and that we do our best to ensure that these seats are filled with the best powerful people we can. And so as you do that, if you love being in this room, if you feel that you know people that could be incredible senators as well, spread the word. Do your best in trying to recruit the people that run for Senate. And don't engage with me with it, but engage with the election commission with it. So please consider that. But anyways, keep the hell out of finals. Go for the A, go for the B, go for whatever. If you I'm in the same boat. Don't take it off. Try. And then have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Are there any questions for Speaker Mendoza?
Thanks.
We'll now move into a period of closing roll call led by Pro Tem Paul.
SP Gillette.
Howdy.
Chief Justice Chopra.
Howdy.
Speaker Mendoza.
Howdy.
Chair Berger.
Howdy.
Chair Harris. Chair Gioso.
Chair Newman.
Chair D.R. Rodriguez.
Howdy, Senate.
Chair C. Rodriguez.
Howdy.
Chair Banks.
Howdy.
Chair McGill. Chair Spur. Chair Gupta. Chair Ahmed.
Howdy.
Chair Aiken. Chair Ali. Senator Anchada. Senator Anderson. Senator Cabrera. Senator Damien.
Howdy.
Senator Dang.
Howdy.
Senator Great. Senator D. Materis. Senator Dow. Senator Feldman.
Howdy.
Senator Flores. Senator Frank.
Howdy.
Senator Julia Garcia. Senator William Garcia. Senator Gay. Senator Graham. Senator Hardison.
Howdy.
Senator Hutto. Senator Jeffries. Senator Clayman. Senator Maz. Senator Krogh. Senator Luttrell.
Howdy.
Senator Mandel. Senator Marufo.
Howdy.
Senator Martin.
Howdy.
Senator McHugh.
Howdy.
Senator McQueen.
Howdy.
Senator Montez.
Howdy.
Senator Morgan.
Howdy.
Senator Murphy.
Howdy.
Senator Newman or Chair Newman.
Howdy.
Senator Viola.
Howdy.
Senator Pauls.
Howdy.
Senator Pena. Senator Price. Senator Ramirez.
Howdy.
Senator Resendez.
Howdy.
Senator Rivera.
Howdy.
Senator Rowan.
Howdy.
Senator Hayden Smith. Senator Gunnar Smith.
Howdy.
Senator Tran.
Howdy.
Senator Trostclair.
Howdy.
Senator Tomlinson.
Howdy.
Senator Ulick.
Howdy.
Senator Walther. Senator Wood.
Howdy.
Senator Hine.
Howdy.
Senator Nassus.
Howdy.
Senator Olag. Senator Mode.
Howdy.
Thank you.
Have a good night.